Aneke television. How I get one with the father and I am what you how Mbo Wabian here, Bube, Mbo Wabatan here, Bube, Aneke television on the mellow way, Yamela Madia, in our uncle, in a American Futanwa, in our Pozu, in our Uncle, the one Aneke television, the Arcades, your man, the one Aneke television, you do man, help the mellow way, Yamela Madia, who me would have Nanka Bunkai. You might have a girl, if you want to come over, you better have you well, what I look
Nigeria. We hit the streets to hear from everyday Nigerians about their hopes and wishes for the country in 2026.
For this new year, I think the most serious thing that is affecting the masses are the prices of goods and services, transportation, all those things. So if the government can look into that and see how we can make it come down so that the masses can actually be able to have enough for themselves and their families, especially in this new tax law, then it would make life a whole lot better this 2026.
The most important is peace. Peace in this country. Peace is most important because without peace, nothing will move. Like if you go to the north, you see there is no peace there. Everybody's running helter-skelter. There is terrorists, banditry everywhere. So they don't have peace there. So
Good morning, welcome to Sports Today. I am your one and only Sports Oracle, hanging out with you and myself this morning to bring you what's happening in the world of sport. Of course, it's going to be all about the updates and the things which you have been expecting. We have been on the AFCON for a while, looking at what has happened, how Nigeria has was not able to qualify for the next round. That is the final of the AFCON. But we have had many comments coming from the head coach of the Super Eagles and also from other coaches who has deemed Super Eagles fit. Of course, there are things that has been going on too, but I want to start today with telling you that Israel Adesanya, the style bender in boxing, will return to boxing on March 8th. He will return to boxing on March 8th, and this is the news that we have, that he is going to participate in a knockout round that is going to come up. And I'm telling you right now that this is something for the boxing guys. This is something we are expecting in the UFC, that he is going to stand and do what he knows best to do. Israel Adesanya has this. He came from the hood, from a lot of things we've been seeing. He came from the hood, and he has not had it so easy in his career. But right now, I tell you for a fact that he is making the moves, and he is making it, and it's going to go a long way. Well, it is something that he could call a crucial moment, and it is something that we can also say that currently he has lost 3 fights while his opponent enters. So he has lost actually 3 fights so far, and Israel Adesanya has shifted his focus away from reclaiming the UFC middle belt, instead choosing to enjoy his fight, take the risk while entertaining fans. Of course, you know that one thing in boxing is that there are certain things that happens, and whether you win or you lose, just like Jake Paul fighting against Anthony Joshua last December. Even though Anthony Joshua won the fight, Jake Paul went home with up to 15 million euros, 15 million euros for that fight that he lost. And also, you could see that if he went home with that kind of money, what about the person that won the fight? This is how UFC, this is how boxing is. And we're moving on from that. We're talking about the Super Eagles head coach, who came out to say that they trained well, they trained for the penalties, and they prepared themselves the best. They give themselves the best shot to take the penalties, and it was not something that they saw coming. Of course, you know that it was Samuel Chukwueze who had to give up the ball, and the other for a guy. But then a lot of criticism has been heaped on Samuel Chukwueze's performance, or the way he played the penalty, and how the penalty came in, how the ball rolled in. It is something that we have not really seen. We have not really seen, but I'm sure by the end of the day, it is something we are going to talk about. It's something we're going to fix. Now, on the same line, it is said that Nigeria's Oshimen and or some of the African top teams, some of the African top players, of course, the likes of Salah, Ibrahim Diaz, the Real Madrid winger, they are topping the score chart in the AFCON, just in the AFCON semi-final. And you know Nigeria is going to play their 3rd place match with Egypt tomorrow, and the Oshimen and Mo Salah are on the same spot in the score sheet. They are on the same spot, having 4 goals in 4 matches, having 4 goals in 4 matches. That is something that we have not. We know that these 2 guys are doing well. They have played at the best, and on the best of their league, on of the games they have been playing. You know that these 2 guys are really making a lot of impact. Well, talking about on the same line, we have Brahim Diaz, not just scoring in Morocco, and he is just 1 goal ahead of Oshimen and Mohamed Salah. This is something that we are not ready for, because these 2 people we were going to see by the match we have tomorrow with the Egyptians, with the Pharaohs of Egypt. We're going to see if they are going to score, and they are going to tally up with Brahim Diaz. Sorry, not Ibrahim Diaz, Brahim Diaz. If they're going to tally with Brahim Diaz, or they are just going to remain where they are, or the spot of where they are. Now, moving on from that, I can tell you that the our Super Falcons have been drawn with Zambia, Egypt, and and Malawi in the African Women's Cup of Nations that is going to happen in Zambia by from March to April. This was set to take place yesterday, while the CAF president announced that there is a topping of the incentives for the players, and also to cater for them and care for them more, like nothing would go wrong. So this is something that we have been looking up to having, while the CAF head coach came out to announce it, that he has there's an improvement in the salaries and in the games and also in the awards, and also in the in the achievements. Let's say Super Eagles or any of the teams are going to play or do something, are going to win the tournament, then there will be there's an improved, something like remuneration, improve the accommodation and all those things for them. So this thing he came out to say yesterday, but we're looking at our Super Falcons because this is actually going to be their 11th, if they win this is going to be their 11th trophy. So when I talk about the AFCON, especially from this side, I tell you for a fact that our women are really making the best of the best, and that is what we have been believing, and that's what we have been anticipating as a nation and as a country. We're moving on in sports. Yesterday, Barcelona won their game to qualify for the next round of the Copa del Rey. Well, I hope you know that Real Madrid was not able to win their game the day before yesterday, and they lost that game 3-2. That was actually a away game. They lost the game 3-2, which made them not to qualify for the next round. And that game yesterday, Barcelona, the star boy, their one and only star boy, Lamine Yamal, had to score the goal. And I don't know who is your man of the match for the game, but I'm telling you that Barcelona has qualified for the next round. And you see Ferran Torres also scoring and making a mark on the league, and Barcelona has actually done a lot to improve and to do what they could do. Now I want to bring you a little back to the foreign scene, what's happening in the world of sports. We are expecting Ousmane Dembele and his camp to improve. We're expecting them to PSG to improve his salary. Currently they are talking about the salaries, and they are making progress, but I believe that because the young man has won a Ballon d'Or, and he won Ballon d'Or, and he won a FIFA Men Best Player of the Year, I believe that he's going to have an improved salary because he is bringing value to the team, and him and his camp are talking, and we are expecting that in the next few days they will come together in the improvement of their salaries. Still moving on that same line of transfers and what's happening across Europe, you will see that Manchester United signed appointed Michael Carrick as the new head coach, and there are stats around what he has done so far, what he has actually done so far, and his next 3 matches are Manchester City, Arsenal, and another team. So this is something that is going to test the coach once he comes in. This is a very big test. Remember, before he left from the place, he had to play the top guys. He played 4 matches, won 3, and he did not lose anyone. He drew 1, and that is what it is, as I've brought to you by the commissioner and the sports oracle. So this morning I want you to go out there and see what's happening for yourself. We're going to be back here tomorrow, same time, same station, here at Aneke TV, to bring you the world, the best, and what's happening in the world of sports around the globe. See you and have a wonderful morning. Bye.
Nigeria enters 2026. The nation faces a pivotal year, balancing promise with responsibility. Economic analysts project steady growth and structural transformation, but the success of this year will depend on effective reforms, innovation, and citizen engagement. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, forecast a gross domestic product (GDP) growth of 4.5%, with inflation expected to ease into the low teens. Independent institutions, including the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, highlight a rebound in domestic demand and renewed investor confidence. Major drivers of growth include the near completion of the Ajokuta-Kaduna-Kano gas pipeline, expected to boost industrial activity, create jobs, and expand energy access in northern states. Ongoing tax and financial sector reforms also aim to strengthen public revenue and attract investment. Despite positive forecasts, Nigeria faces persistent hurdles. Rising inflation, especially on food and essential goods, continues to affect households. Security concerns in some regions disrupt communities and economic activity, while fiscal pressures require careful management to ensure sustainable growth. Growing sectors such as technology, creative industries, and service offer opportunities for job creation and innovation. Experts recommend improving agricultural supply chains, storage, and access to credit and technology for farmers. Transparent public spending, aligned with long-term development priorities, is essential. Supporting small and medium enterprises, SMEs, tech startups, and creative industries with funding and skills development can generate jobs, while expanding access to credit and fintech solutions will empower youth and women entrepreneurs. Strengthening community security is also crucial to protect farms, markets, and trade corridors. Experts stress that 2026 is a year for action, accountability, and inclusive growth. Governments must prioritize implementation and transparency in reforms. The private sector should invest in innovation and industrial growth, and citizens are encouraged to develop skills, embrace entrepreneurship, and actively contribute to community development. With practical reforms, investment in human capital, and collective effort, 2026 can be a year of resilience, hope, and national development. Nigeria's future will depend not only on policies but on the commitment and actions of every Nigerian.
The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the broad mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter whose heart is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last blood.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on The Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us.
Good morning and welcome to News Around the Globe on Aneke TV, your trusted window to the major developments across Nigeria and the global community. I'm Deborah Wakaba, glad to have you join us. Now moving over to the headlines. President Tinubu joins Nigerians in celebrating Armed Forces and Remembrance Day. Russia seeks joint action with Nigeria to combat crime. And on the foreign scene, 21 bodies found in Libya as survivors report torture. And in business, EU officially removes Nigeria from money laundering blacklist. And in entertainment, President Tinubu commends Nigerian artists for Afrima Award success. And now to the news in details. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to the welfare of the Nigerian Armed Forces as the nation marked the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day. The president was represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima at the National Arcade, Abuja. The ceremony featured the laying of wreaths at the cenotaph of the unknown soldier, a 21-gun salute, and the release of white pigeons to symbolize peace and national unity. Tributes were paid to military personnel who lost their lives from the world wars to ongoing counter-terrorism operations. President Tinubu, in a message, praised the professionalism of Nigerian troops, particularly in the northeast, and assured families of fallen heroes that their sacrifices would never be forgotten. He said government support for the armed forces will be demonstrated through concrete action. In the meantime, Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu State has restated his administration's commitment to the welfare of serving and retired members of the Nigerian Armed Forces. He spoke at the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day ceremony at Okmara Square, Enugu. Governor Mbah said honoring fallen heroes must go beyond annual ceremonies to include sustained care, economic empowerment, and support widows and families left behind. He emphasized collaboration with the federal government to improve military welfare. The event featured a red lane ceremony, a 21-gun salute, and the release of pigeons. The governor also assured military widows of increased support through skills acquisition and employment programs. Kogi State Governor Alhaji Usman Ododo has ordered the demolition of a criminal hideout known as Sambel Joint in Okene as part of a renewed security crackdown. The structures were discovered to be illegally occupied former government quarters. Governor Ododo, who supervised the exercise in Idoji, said his administration would not negotiate with criminals and warned property owners against allowing the buildings to be used for criminal activities. Residents of the area welcomed the move, describing the location as a long-standing center of terror. The governor thanked President Bola Tinubu for federal security support in restoring peace to Kogi State. Oyo State Governor Mr. Seyi Makinde has pledged to strengthen security across the state following the killing of 5 forest guards in an ambush at Old Oyo National Park. He spoke during the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day ceremony in Ibadan. Governor Makinde announced a welfare scheme for the families of the slain guards, assuring that the state would provide support for widows and orphans. He praised the Nigerian Armed Forces for their sacrifices despite limited resources. The ceremony featured a military parade, red lane, and 21-gun salutes. The governor warned criminal elements that Oyo State will remain hostile to anyone attempting to disrupt peace. The Russian Federation has called for stronger security cooperation with Nigeria to combat transnational crime. This follows allegation by the Edo State government that a Nigerian resident in Russia was linked to funding protests. In a statement issued in Abuja, the Russian embassy denied interference and urged Nigeria to ratify pending security agreements, including a mutual legal assistance treaty awaiting approval since 2018. Russian authorities said the absence of formal legal frameworks limits effective joint investigations. They stressed that ratifying the agreement will strengthen cooperation against financial crime and unlawful activities. To some political stories, Abubakar Abba Atiku, son of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, has defected from the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the All Progressives Congress (APC). He announced his decision at the National Assembly in Abuja. Abba Atiku also merged his political structure, the Ask Atiku organization, into the APC, renaming it the Ask Bola Tinubu organization to support President Tinubu's 2027 re-election bid. The APC leaders described the election as a major political boost. Deputy Senate President Barrow Jibrin praised the move, saying it reflects growing confidence in the administration's policies. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has secured a legal victory as an Abuja High Court struck out criminal defamation charges against her. The federal government withdrew the case through a notice of discontinuance. The charges followed petition by Senate President Godswill Akpabio and former Kogi Governor Yahaya Bello over comments made during a television interview. The court said the withdrawal should promote reconciliation. Speaking after the ruling, the senator thanked her supporters and said she would resume her legislative duties fully, describing the outcome as a victory for justice and democracy. The Rivers State House of Assembly failed to reconvene plenary as scheduled 1 week after joining amid impeachment proceedings against Governor Similai Fubara and his deputy. The sitting was expected to hold on Thursday. The Assembly had issued a 7-day notice to the governor over alleged misconduct, including unauthorized spending and demolition of the Assembly complex. However, 4 lawmakers later withdrew from the impeachment process. Political stakeholders have called for reconciliation. Former lawmaker Bona Nwuke urged cooperation between the executive and legislature to ensure peace and development in Rivers State. Away from that, allegations of coercion have emerged in the trial of former Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele as a defense witness accused the EFCC of forcing a confession. The claim was made at Aneke Special Offences Court. The witness alleged that investigators attempted to induce testimony against Emefiele with promises of bail and immunity. He said the defendant was detained for 21 days for refusing to cooperate. The prosecution denied the allegation, stating the statements were voluntarily made. The court adjourned the case to January 16, 2026 for continuation of proceedings. The Lagos State government has intensified efforts to provide psychological support for survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. The initiative was highlighted at a sensitization program in Lagos. Commissioner for Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Ms. Bolaji Dada, said emotional trauma often lasts longer than physical injuries, making mental health support essential. The program aims to provide counseling, trauma management, and social reintegration for survivors. Officials assured victims of continued protection and empowerment through existing government structures. Fire has destroyed 76 shelters at an internally displaced persons camp in Ngama Village, Gujba local government area of Yobe State. The victims are IDPs displaced from Borno State. One person sustained injuries and is receiving medical care. The fire also destroyed livestock, food supplies and household items, worsening the humanitarian situation. The Yobe State Emergency Management Agency has begun damage assessment and relief distribution. Authorities say the cause of the fire is yet to be determined. In Enugu, a new partnership is set to strengthen media governance and boost public communication. Aneke TV's management paid a courtesy visit to the governor's special advisor on political matters, Chief Frank Anyoma, to discuss collaboration on people-centered policies. Sharon Uchekalu reports.
The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter whose ox is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last blood.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on The Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us.
Aneke TV and the Office of the Special Advisor to the Enugu State Governor on Political Matters have resolved to collaborate in strengthening public communication and promoting people-centered governance across the state. The resolution was reached during a courtesy visit by a delegation from Aneke TV to the Special Advisor on Political Matters, Chief Frank Anyoma, at the Government House, Enugu. While welcoming the initiative, Chief Frank Anyoma reaffirmed the Enugu State government's commitment to inclusive governance and sustainable development. He commended Aneke TV for its role in public enlightenment and formally granted the station approval to cover activities and programs of his office.
I am highly delighted to have the Aneke TV crew in my office this afternoon. I'm humbled by the kind words that this noble organization have heaped on me. What I did was just my normal way of trying to support, especially the particular program that Aneke TV had for the children. So with this kind of appreciation and recognition of that little support, I must tell you, it has encouraged me to do more depending on the resources available. So I'm highly honored and I'm happy that with your visit. So my regards to the leadership of Aneke TV that are not here. That, I'm happy with your pledge and promise to assist this government to help in pushing out the efforts and the achievements of His Excellency Barrister Peter Ndubisimba. So I welcome the partnership and your pledge, and I will equally try to discuss with the media team of this government so that every program we have, Aneke TV should be able to be invited to be part of it. So it is a hand of fellowship that is welcomed by us, and I'm happy about that.
The visit, led by the head of presentation, Mr. Uche Osai, and the head of programs, Mrs. Ngozi Otahumele, focused on building a strategic media partnership aimed at amplifying government policies, development achievement, and the civic engagement through impactful and people-focused programming.
First, to say a very deep and heartfelt thank you for your support over time. Each time we call on you, you show us your unalloyed support, and it has translated to the success of our engagements, especially citing our end of year party. A lot of impact was made in Enugu State, being that we were able to host children as far as people coming from Udi to participate in that event, and your support, we would say without reservation, made it a success. Aneke TV, being a media organization that prides itself on integrity and upholding the ethics of the profession without being biased, we feel that the hand of friendship that you've given us should be extended such that we can be able to come in and project what your government, the government of His Excellency Dr. Peter Pan, is doing should be projected. We feel that with our in-depth analysis on issues, our reach, we will be able to give it another dimension that has not been projected so far.
Both parties described the partnership as a significant step towards improving information flow between the government and the people, with the objective of enhancing transparency, accountability, and greater public partnership in governance.
We decided to bring up a program that will be showcasing the activities of government. There are so many things that the government is doing that the people don't know, and we don't want to wait for 2027 during the election. We know you. You've been a local government chairman, and we know your capacity. And I want to say that the government did not, the governor, Dr. Peter Mba, did not make any mistake in appointing you a political advisor. He knows what you're capable of doing. So Aneke TV felt that we can work with your office to project this project that he's doing.
I am Sharon Uche, Aneke TV.
Still on the news. You can stay connected with us on all our social media platforms. Now a quick reminder of the major stories making the news. President Tinubu joins Nigeria to mark Armed Forces Day and Remembrance Day. Russia's call for joint action with Nigeria against crime. And coming up shortly, 21 borders discovered in Libya as survivors describe torture. And in business, EU removes Nigeria from money laundering blacklist. And in entertainment, President Tinubu congratulates Nigeria stars on Afrima Awards wins. We'll be right back.
The eagles stand as a majestic symbol of strength, clarity, and vision. Its ability to soar above storms signifies resilience, while its shaped sight represents focus. This is why many nations, including Nigeria, use the eagle as an emblem of nation pride. Eagles do not fear challenges, they embrace them. They fly higher when the winds become strong, rising above obstacles rather than avoiding them. This teaches us that problems are not barriers, but stepping stones for those who dare. To live like an eagle is to stay focused, courageous, and disciplined. It is to see opportunities where others see only difficulties. The sky is not your limit, it is your launch pad.
Welcome back. Libyan security forces have uncovered a mass grave containing at least 21 bodies near Ajabia in eastern Libya. The discovery followed a raid on a farm where authorities rescued survivors including men, women and children showing visible signs of torture. Survivors reported that many of their companions disappeared while in captivity. The farm owner has been arrested and reportedly confessed to the burial site's existence, located just miles from the coast. Authorities have yet to confirm the cause of death for the victims. The Red Crescent has begun recovering the remains. The incident highlights the persistent risks facing migrants along Libya's transit route, where human trafficking gangs continue to operate with near total impunity. It follows other recent migrant tragedies, including vessel fires and mass casualty events along the coast. International pressures remains on Libya to close detention centers and crack down on trafficking networks. A major fire swept through Groyong village, Show's last remaining shanty town, on Friday morning. Nearly 300 firefighters battled flames that forced around 50 residents to flee from their homes. The fire affected houses built with highly flammable materials, and heavy smoke grounded helicopters, limiting area support. Authorities deployed 85 fire trucks to navigate the narrow alleys, raising the emergency alert to its second highest level. Residents reported narrow escapes as the fire spread rapidly, threatening nearby structures and a nearby mountain. Groyong village, a symbol of Seoul's rapid urbanization, houses displaced families despite plans for redevelopment. The fire underscores the vulnerability of marginalized residents living in informal settlements, even as the city around them continues to thrive economically. The fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah was tested yet Thursday on as Israel launched targeted strikes across Lebanon. Tel Aviv described the operation as a response to repeated violations of the 2024 U.S. brokered agreement. Evacuation warnings were issued for buildings in the village of Shomor ahead of the strikes. The 2024 ceasefire had weakened Hezbollah's capabilities, but ongoing accusations of bad faith have escalated tensions. Lebanese officials are caught between pressure from Washington and Jerusalem to enforce disarmament or face a wider conflict. International observers warn the situation could trigger renewed hostilities. The strikes appear aimed at confiscating Hezbollah's remaining arsenal, but a full-scale conflict remains a high risk as the region teeters on the edge of escalation. Venezuela opposition leader Maria Corina Machado met President Donald Trump at the White House yesterday. The launch signals growing U.S. support for Machado as she seeks a role in Venezuela's political future. Administration officials described the meeting as reflecting her overwhelming popular backing. The White House did not announce a timeline for new elections, but the visit strengthens Machado's international profile. For the Trump administration, the meeting signals ongoing recognition of the Venezuela opposition. Machado's visit highlights the tense political environment in Caracas and the continued push for democratic alternatives. Observers note that endorsement could increase pressure on Venezuela's current leadership while bolstering the opposition's momentum. The European Commission has removed Nigeria from its list of high-risk countries for money laundering and terrorism financing. This follows Nigeria's exit from the FATF grey list in late 2025. Finance Minister Waledu credited reforms under President Bola Tinubu for strengthening legal frameworks and interagency coordination. The delisting will ease international transactions for Nigerian businesses and individuals, reducing paperwork, enhance due diligence, and cost for cross-border operations. Minister Edu emphasized that reforms will continue to maintain compliance. Nigeria's reintegration into the global financial systems aims to attract investors and boost transparency in capital flows. The Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) announced that 20 deposit money banks have met the new capital requirements ahead of the March 2026 deadline. CBN Deputy Governor Dr. Mohammed Abdullahi said the recapitalization is critical for building a financial system capable of supporting industrial and SME growth. The Apex Bank is now focusing on translating increased capital into productive lending. Upgraded regulatory technology is being used to monitor credit deployment and ensure liquidity reaches real sector businesses. The government also plans to address a 230 trillion naira funding gap in development sectors by mobilizing private investment. The Lagos State Internal Revenue Services has reminded employers that the deadline to file annual tax returns is January 31, 2026. Executive Chairman Dr. Ayodele Subere said filings must include all employee emolument, service provider payments, and consultant fees for 2025. Under the Nigerian Tax Administration Act 2025, failure to comply carries administrative and statutory penalties. Manual submissions have been phased out. All filings must be completed via the LIRS e-tax digital platform. Dr. Subere urged businesses to comply early, highlighting the importance of accurate reporting for the state's infrastructure and economic planning. The digital-only mandate is designed to modernize revenue collection and standardize fiscal management. Nigeria's Super Falcons have been drawn in Group C for the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations alongside Zambia, Egypt, and Malawi. The tournament, hosted in Morocco from March 17 to April 3, will feature 16 teams. The Falcons face a high-stakes rematch with Zambia's Copper Queens, who they defeated en route to attend their title last year. Other notable groups include Morocco versus Algeria and South Africa versus Ivory Coast. CAF President Patrice Motsepe announced increased prize money and improved salaries for female athletes. The tournament also serves as the qualifier for the 2027 Women's World Cup, with the 4 semi-finalists earning automatic berths. Morocco's coach Walid Regragui is preparing for the AFCON final against Senegal following a 4-2 penalty win over Nigeria. He praised his team's mental toughness and defensive discipline in neutralizing a highly athletic opponent. The Atlas Lion aim to leverage home advantage at the Prince Moulay Abdallah Stadium to secure their first continental title in 50 years. Medical staff are working to ensure full player recovery after the semi-final. Regragui emphasized continued improvements despite the win, noting that the match against Senegal will be evenly contested. Morocco seeks to establish consistency in high-stakes continental competitions. President Bola Tinubu has praised Nigerian musician for dominating the 9th All-African Music Award at Frema in Lagos. Rema won Artist of the Year, Burna Boy took Album of the Year, and other winners included Charlie Poppy, Fino, and Yemi Alade. Veterans Kenny Ogumbe and Dayo Adeneye received their Frema Legendary Award. The ceremony, hosted at the Echo Convention Center from January 7 to 11, featured delegates from 48 countries. President Tinubu highlighted the creative economy's role in job creation and tourism, praising Lagos State for hosting the event. The government pledged continued support to strengthen Nigeria's position in the global arts scene. Afrobeat singer Davido has denied claims by 12-year-old Michelle Anwoluwapo, who called herself his oldest daughter, on social media. The teenager asked for a DNA test, citing bullying and mental distress. Davido said he has taken 5 DNA tests, all returning negative, and described the claim as driven by the mother, whom he said he never had a relationship with. He warned this would be his final response, emphasizing his focus on his actual children. Davido suggested legal action should be considered against the mother for continuing false claims. And finally, before we go on news around the globe, here's a recap of our top stories. President Bola Tinubu joined Nigerians yesterday in honoring the courage and sacrifices of the nation's military personnel. The event included weight-laying ceremonies at the cenotaph of the unknown soldier and highlighted lessons from Nigeria's history to foster unity in national security. Russian authorities have proposed a collaborative approach with Nigeria to address transnational crimes, including cybercrime, human trafficking, and organized crime. Libyan security forces have uncovered a mass grave containing 21 bodies after rescuing survivors from a farm near Ajabia. The survivors recounted harrowing accounts of abduction, torture, and killing, shedding light on the growing risk faced by migrants in the region. The European Union has officially delisted Nigeria from its money laundering and terrorist financing blacklist. The decision follows reforms in Nigeria's financial regulations and strengthened anti-money laundering measures, marking a major step towards improving investor confidence. And on entertainment, President Bola Tinubu has congratulated Nigerian musicians for their outstanding performance at the 2026 All Africa Music Awards Afrima, celebrating the country's growing influence in the global entertainment scene. He urged continued excellence and investment in Nigeria's creative industry. And that's news around the globe on Aneke TV. For more news and live updates, follow us across all social media platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. I am Deborah Wakuba. Thank you for watching.
The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter whose ox is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last block.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices. Uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on The Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us.
Corruption in Nigeria is not limited to isolated scandals. It is systemic, deeply embedded, and sector-specific, affecting critical areas of governance, particularly oil and gas, power, the judiciary, and local government administration. These sectors highlight how weak oversight, institutional fragility, and accountability gaps continue to constrain national development. Nigeria's oil and gas sector, the backbone of the national economy, remains highly vulnerable to corruption. Despite contributing the largest share of government revenue and foreign exchange earnings, the sector faces challenges of opaque accountability, weak audits, and repeated allegations of under-remittance. Independent investigations into the period between 2011 and 2017 uncovered unresolved revenue discrepancies running into tens of billions of dollars. Crude oil sales, fuel subsidy claims, and joint venture arrangements have been particular areas of concern, while reforms like the commercialization of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and the Petroleum Industry Act were designed to improve transparency, implementation gaps persist. Recent international asset recoveries, including over $50 million repatriated from the United States, illustrates the scale of past governance failures and the slow pace of accountability. The power sector also reflects the impact of weak governance on economic and social development. Since 1999, Nigeria has reportedly spent over $16 billion on interventions in electricity generation, transmission, and distribution. Yet, supply remains unreliable for a population exceeding 200 million. Audits indicate contract inflation, poor project supervision, and regulatory uncertainty as major challenges. Debt within the gas-to-power value chain has forced government bailouts and emergency payments to suppliers. Recent steps, including settlement of legacy gas debts, aim to stabilize the sector. But experts warn that without transparent procurement, stronger regulation, and disciplined subsidy management, energy insecurity will persist. The judiciary is critical in enforcing anti-corruption laws, but public confidence remains low. Surveys conducted by the National Bureau of Statistics and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime show that judicial officers receive some of the highest average bribe payments among public officials. Perception studies consistently rank the judiciary among the most corrupt institutions, particularly in politically sensitive or high-value cases. Prolonged trials, frequent adjournments, and the procedural loopholes contribute to public skepticism. Legal analysts argue that stronger judicial discipline, improved remuneration, and institutional safeguards are essential to restore credibility. At the local government level, corruption directly affects citizens' daily lives. Councils responsible for primary health care, education, sanitation, and rural infrastructure are often cited in surveys for routine bribery and mismanagement. The National Bureau of Statistics reports that more than half of Nigerians interacting with public officials encounter demands for unofficial payments, particularly in local administration, policing, and utilities. Weak financial autonomy, political interference, and limited oversight exacerbate these problems, reinforcing distrust in government. Across all sectors, corruption thrives where institutions are weak. Oversight is limited and consequences are uncertain. While anti-corruption agencies report thousands of convictions and hundreds of millions of dollars in asset recoveries, experts stress that enforcement alone cannot fix systemic issues. Economic studies estimate that corruption costs Nigeria billions of dollars annually and could erode up to 37% of GDP by 2030 if reforms stall. Beyond economic loss, it undermines service delivery, widens inequality, and weakens democratic legitimacy. Policy analysts now advocate for a governance-first approach, strengthening institutions, ensuring transparency in public finance, digitizing service delivery, protecting whistleblowers, and guaranteeing judicial independence. For Nigeria, the challenge is no longer diagnosing corruption, but sustaining the political will to reform the systems that allow it to persist. In a country facing economic pressure, security challenges, and rising public expectations, governance reform remains central, not optional, to national progress. Corruption in Nigeria is not limited to isolated scandals. It is systemic, deeply embedded, and sector-specific, affecting critical areas of governance, particularly oil and gas, power, the judiciary, and local government administration. These sectors highlight how weak oversight, institutional fragility, and accountability gaps continue to constrain national development. Nigeria's oil and gas sector, the backbone of the national economy, remains highly vulnerable to corruption. Despite contributing the largest share of government revenue and foreign exchange earnings, the sector faces challenges of opaque accountability, weak audits, and repeated allegations of under-remittance. Independent investigations into the period between 2011 and 2017 uncovered unresolved revenue discrepancies running into tens of billions of dollars. Crude oil sales, fuel subsidy claims, and joint venture arrangements have been particular areas of concern, while reforms like the commercialization of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and the Petroleum Industry Act were designed to improve transparency, implementation gaps persist. Recent international asset recoveries, including over $50 million repatriated from the United States, illustrates the scale of past governance failures and the slow.
Good morning, 040, and thank you for joining us today. And also a pleasant greetings to everyone watching. You're tuned into Sunrise on Aneke TV, where every sunrise begins with delightfulness, joy, and of course purpose. I bring you today's Sunrise. I am Deborah Wakaba, coming to you live from our studio here in vibrant Enugu.
And good morning to you, our global audience. I'm Uche Osai. Wherever you are, at your desk, in traffic, or even making breakfast at home, thank you for letting us into your space this beautiful Friday morning. We're here to refresh, inform, and motivate.
Yes, of course, it's Friday, 16 January 2026. And of course, we've got a power-packed morning for you today where we've got our latest news, what's trending, so much more, and of course, that special sunrise vibe to help us begin our day.
So, grab that cup of coffee, relax, enjoy the cruise because the sunrise is here.
Yes, and in Sunrise today, we'll be starting off with our quote of the day. With was that thoughtful, was that inspiring, was that offering our insight to whatever we do to help us stay well driven, stay focused, and feel motivated.
Then it's straight into the day's news headlines. All the key news update that you need to remain informed will be shared, hot, debated, and tasty.
Yes, and after that, we'll be giving you our full weather report covering major cities across the southeast and beyond. So you'd know what to expect before stepping out, or if you've stepped out already, it's to keep you throughout the rest of the day.
And let's wrap things up by bringing to you the man of many parts, the sports oracle, the commissioner of enjoyment, the metal mechanic, and lots more with our business news update to keep you smiling.
Now, right now, moving over to our morning show inspiration segment. Today's segment is coming from a Nigerian street motivation, and this quote is saying, "Focus on the work, and the wealth will announce itself." I'm going to take that quote again, saying, "Focus on the work, and the wealth will announce itself." Now, what this quote is saying is about consistent effort and dedication naturally leads to success and financial reward. So this quote is advising us to focus on the work itself, and later the wealth will introduce itself, which simply means that when you're focused on your work, you don't have to announce it you don't have to announce that you're starting up something. But when you start it with diligence, when you start it with consistency, persistence, you'd find out that you don't even need to advertise it, but rather people around you are going to see the effort you've put through. People are going to see the outcome later and also advertise it for you. Mr. Ocha, I'd like to know your own thoughts on this quote.
All right, looking at this quote this morning, you've rightly, opened it up and dissected it, and simply, it makes me realize and remember that saying in the Nigerian business landscape where they say that your performance is the best PR. So work diligently in silence. You don't need to make noise about it. And equally takes me to a saying on Nigerian street. You say, put in the work and your bands go make the noise. You understand? So you let your work speak for itself. Just work, put in the efforts, put in the performance silently. So we are speaking to the wealth that you don't mention now is that gradually your influence, your reputation, rises, and that's what you have to build, and it takes time. Just build silently. What will announce you is the performance, your results, and that's what really matters. And this morning, it's good that we were bringing it to limelight, because a number of times people are after quick fixes, where you see people in parlance, the Igbo language, they will tell you egombute, and Dangote makes us realize that speaking in Igbo language, they say there's nothing like stumbling upon money. You work for it, you build it, and when success comes, it doesn't hide itself. It will announce itself. That success will speak to is not just fiscal cash. A number of times people just, I don't know if you've been in a situation where people want to be announced that they've arrived. But there is when you build this reputation, when you've worked hard, nobody needs to announce your presence. Your presence announces itself. And it makes me remember something, recently, I bet politically, but the undertone I take from there is that of building, working hard, working in secret, and when the time comes, it blossoms, and people recognizes this effort. And I say that to mean that I'm not, saying that he is the only capable person who has built a reputation, but when you see the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in 2023 election, the former governor of Anambra State, when he comes into a place hiding, you see what happens when ever they mention it, no matter how he tries to hide, once they make announcement of his presence, everywhere erupts. And that's what we're speaking about this morning. You let your good work, your hard work speak for you, and that's it.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Well, now, simply put, in essence, this phrase, when it that says wealth will announce itself, is suggesting that real success doesn't need bragging, but instead it becomes visible through our results. It becomes visible through what we have achieved. So let's say this quote is also teaching us that if we stay focused on building value, money and success will follow on their own. So you specifically, you're going to announce yourself by yourself, and it's going to be physical to everyone around you. And also, while you're doing that, please do not forget that each new sunrise is a platform where we learn something new, or where we stay simply present in whatever we do. And also, let us know what this quote means to you. You can drop your thoughts on all of our social media feeds across Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, or Aneke TV, or call our phone number 070-3043-7110. And up next is our weather report.
Yes, we'll take a look at the weather report across major cities in Southeast today.
Now we'll be starting off with Oka. Good morning, Oka. Expect sunny intervals and some clouds here and there today, with temperatures climbing up to about 34 degrees Celsius. Warm but typical for January in the region. Skies stay mostly bright through the afternoon, and with the sun high, UV levels will be very high, so protect yourself.
And good morning, the core city. Moving over to Enugu, we are looking at a dry and warm condition today with lots of sunshine and only a few clouds drifting by. Temperatures could peak in the mid-30 degrees Celsius. So, it's a classic dry season heat. A hat and water are your best friends.
And in Abakaliki will enjoy a hot and hazy sunshine-filled day with daytime temperatures heading into the mid-30 degrees Celsius. It will feel warm and bright, just the way January likes it in the southeast. Evening temperatures drop slightly but stay comfortably warm.
And good morning, Imo State. Over to Owerri. Expect sunshines with intermittent clouds. Today's weather is all about heat and light breezes. Temperatures could hit mid to high 30 degrees Celsius. So it's a real sun-soaked Friday. Stay hydrated. If you're out and about, as night falls, the skies become clear. Keep things pleasant.
And lastly, in Umuahia, it's another warm and mostly sunny day. Typical January vibes with highs around the mid-30 degrees Celsius. A mix of sun and a few clouds keeps things interesting, but there is no heavy rain in sight. Just that beautiful dry season glow. Nice evening temperature will make it great for catching up with friends outside later.
So, wherever you are in the southeast today, stay safe, stay cool, and if you're up and about, you can have your umbrella handy and stay hydrated as well. And this is your weather report here on Sunrise on Aneke TV. We'll go on a short break and we'll return with more news updates.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world. Looking for a window to the world? A place where news, entertainment, and culture come alive. Welcome to Aneke TV, your ultimate destination for stories that matter and moments that inspire.
At Aneke TV, we bring you breaking news, exclusive interviews, and live events coverage, all with accuracy, integrity, and a fresh perspective. From the heart of Nigeria to the far corners of the globe, we keep you informed, entertained, and connected.
Whether it's sports highlights, music and lifestyle trends, or community stories that touch lives, Aneke TV is more than just television. It's your companion in every moment. Rich, vibrant, and truly unique, our programming celebrates the diversity and energy of Nigeria while keeping you at the pulse of the world. Don't just watch TV, experience it, live it. Move with the world with Aneke TV. Follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Because at Aneke TV, the world comes to you.
Aneke TV, move with the world.
You're still watching Sunrise on Aneke TV. Now we're taking a look at the major papers today and the major headlines from Nation, Punch, Vanguard and the Guardian newspaper.
And joining us this morning is our in-house analyst, Mr. Res Aru. Mr. Res.
Thank you, and stay tuned. Don't touch the dial. We're here to give it to you the best way.
All right, let me give you my signature question. How is Nigeria treating you?
Well, relatively fair.
All right.
Let me answer it that way. Relatively fair.
That's a pass mark, because I don't know if there are a lot of persons who would answer in that manner. And with us again this morning is Mr. Good Hope, the man of many parts, the sports oracle, commissioner of enjoyment, the metal mechanic, and which other one?
Let's go with that.
It's good to have you this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Yeah.
All right, now moving over to our newspapers for today, starting with the Nation headline that says, Edu building on reform, gains for better results, our goal. And on the Punch headline, the major headline there reads, counterinsurgency campaigns, U.S. votes $413 million for security operations in Nigeria, others. And in the Vanguard headline, the Vanguard paper there says 512 trillion naira debt driven by forex rate adjustments, reforms, says Finance Minister. And now on the Guardian headline, the major headline there reads how 300% cost spike drug rationing turned diabetes to death threats. And our paper for today from the Punch headline that says counterinsurgency campaigns, U.S. votes $413 million for security operations in Nigeria, others. Now, big security news here. The United States has approved a massive $413 million budget to support counterinsurgency and security operations in Nigeria and other partner countries. This funding is expected to support military training, intelligence, logistics, and operations aimed at tackling terrorism and insecurity, which is a move that underscores Nigeria's strategic role in regional security.
All right. When we see this headline, it underscores the primary, importance that the United States government places on issue of security around Nigeria and the West African region. Just not quite long, we'll see that the Africa Command did, carry out a strike in Nigeria. We were told was to forestall the, planned attack in Nigeria. But be that as it may, they've gone ahead beyond that. We've seen the support they've given Nigeria in terms of ammunitions that were, brought into the country just a few days back. And then we are seeing these humongous amounts of money being voted into security, into sanitizing our climate, speaking to the primary importance of security. But, Mr. Res, this morning, seeing America to this part, what message is it sending to the Nigerian government, to the Nigerian people, and the terrorists who's been terrorizing this nation?
Well, primarily, Nigeria and America are truly partnering. The diplomatic relationship between Nigeria and the U.S. Is buttressed in a development like this. We've been able to see that there is no doubt about the fact that America was acting in isolation in terms of helping in curbing the menace of terrorism. You can see it now. It is clearly, stated. Now, when a country like America begins to vote humongous sums of money in a country like Nigeria, it means they have interests beyond just the security situation. They have interest to partner in various ways. They could have interest in partnering.
the Americans, since the failed abortion legislation and all that, uh, the abortion legislation and that of gay legislation, America severed some parts of her relationship with Nigeria. At one point, they stopped patronizing Nigeria in crude oil, which, of course, fortunately, the Chinese government came in. That relationship has since been there until most recently when Trump came on board. And of course, with the emergence of terrorism in Nigeria, America has since tried to use same to come into Nigeria, possibly to start doing very big business in Nigeria. They may be interested in oil once more, just like they are interested in the oil in Venezuela. They may also be interested in solid minerals, which of course has been seen to be very much abundant in Nigeria. Many countries of the world, the outer world, wants this partnership. China do, Russia do, of course. It is even in the news that Russia wants to come in to help, and so on and so forth. Even Israel wants to come in and help. So countries, various countries of the world are interested in establishing some very serious diplomatic relations with Nigeria. So the humongous sum budgeted by America for Nigeria and a few other countries shows the interest the American government has in Nigeria. And that interest goes beyond just security fight. It goes into various other things, which might even lead to signing treaties, pacts. Such pact that happened between Israel and America. If anything happens in Israel, if you fight Israel, America will fight you. So we might get to that point, the way it is, because the moment the Americans come in here and begin to have huge investments on ground, of course, they will certainly protect their citizens and investments on board in Nigeria, or on ground in Nigeria. So they will come in full blast. So my expectation is that Nigeria will be wise enough to define whatever arrangement it has with America. Whatever arrangement it has with America has to be looked at critically. Of course, we have legal luminaries who can look at it, diplomats who can look at it from a diplomatic perspective, and all that, the far-reaching ends of such relationship. That is knowing that the implication may alter with time. One has to look at, those people has to look at the dynamic changes of the universe and the way things are going. The dynamic changes of government, the way things are going. A new government might come into the United States and change their diplomatic policies. So you look at those things, the things that may not diplomatically be against your country.
Thank you very much for that. But before I let you off on that, this is not the first time that the American government, is supporting Nigeria in the fight against terrorism. We've seen in the past where the Nigerian government was supported with arms, and we've seen a number of times where equally money was donated to fight insurgency in Nigeria. Do you believe that this time around that this will yield the needed results in terms of combating terrorism in Nigeria?
Well, it has not been this way. America has been supporting Nigeria. I told you we had some severe aspects of our relationship with America until most recently. So it is only now that we are beginning to see the seriousness of the state of America to help Nigeria full blast You can see they came in with a Tomahawk bomb, and this time they are supplying arms, ammunition, and everything to help the soldiers, Nigerian soldiers on ground. And beyond just that, remember, they are also providing surveillance information to their satellite for the real-time check on insurgency and movement, so as to put the armed forces on guard on how to combat that situation. So I think it is different from what it were, and better still. We are having a very beautiful relationship, except that the government and our policymakers, especially the diplomats, should be able to, evaluate holistically America's interest in Nigeria.
All right. Speaking of America's interest in Nigeria, we are seeing this level of support, humongous amount of money being voted for security in Nigeria and the West African sub-region. Well, so speaking to that interest, and I want to, take you back to the issue around visa ban, where Nigerians, they've placed a pause on immigrant and non-immigrant visa processing for Nigerians, citing issues around insecurity and data. So where does this leave us with that relationship with the United States government?
It is not just Nigeria alone. So many countries of the world, we have about 60 or 66 countries in the world are facing the same problem. America has just started with that policy. It is a policy to scrutinize the migration of people to the United States, to ensure, because of this way the world is going in terms of terrorism, they're actually taking extra care to ensure that they don't, support such thing that will promote insecurity in their own environment. Since they are already fighting security in other climes, they must, tighten up their own, entry ports to ensure that insecurity is put to the barest minimum. Because you remember the last time, America took Osama bin Laden. He was in America, trained him. He was a CIA member before he revolted against them. And of course, the 1911, the Twin Tower bombing and all that. It has never been like that in the United States, except during the days of the civil wars in the U.S. So no such malady has happened to the United States. So, and this, they are trying to curb situations like that. We have a Nigerian who was trained. Of course, the father is a Nigerian. He was overseas. He was in Saudi, but he was in Middle East and the Arab nation before he went to the United States, and they indoctrinated him. And of course, he tried.
Are you speaking to Abdul Mutalab?
Yes,
the underwear bomber?
Beautiful. That is exactly what I'm saying. So, you see, these are the kind of things that America wants to forestall, so that you don't have radical Islamic fundamentalists coming into America, to pose danger to the populace and all that. So that's exactly what I think America is doing. I think America is doing. But they know best what they are doing and the policy they're going into and why they are doing that. But from my perspective, security is a primary concern.
All right.
Thank you very much for that. Now moving over to our next paper for today, coming from the Nation paper. And that the headline there says, "A dome building on reform gains for better results, our goal." The Finance Minister Wale Edo says the government is not pressing pause on reforms. Instead, it's pressing forward. According to him, recent economic reforms are beginning to show signs of progress, and the plan is now and the plan now is to deepen those gains for stronger results. The focus stabilizing the economy, boosting investor confidence, and ensuring the reforms translate into real life for Nigerians over time.
All right. It's good. This government over time has not hidden, their resolve to carry out reforms. But what is in doubt or in question that the generality of Nigerians has been asking Mr. Rice is when do we see, the effect or the result from these reforms? That takes us is very holistic that this government has been carrying out reforms even in the financial sector, the oil sector. We'll see the first thing was the subsidy is gone. So, Mr. Rice, this issue of reforms, yes, we agree that there has to be reforms, but when are we going to expect results or the impact from these reforms?
You see, sometime on this platform, I did say that sometimes economic policies or economic fundamentals don't hold water in Nigeria because of the dynamic, because of the peculiarity of this country. You see, Nigeria is a very peculiar nation in that when you put up reforms, especially economic reforms, they don't work. There have been a number of policies, people have come in with ideas and all that. And these ideas have been tried, and during the implementation, one thing or the other, gives it a setback that you don't get the result as it ought to be. But if it is done in other climes, you find that it continues to flow. We have eggheads, we have economists, people who are, that is even why, some people are still skeptical that within the shortest time, if people like Obi becomes president, how are we sure that his ideas will translate into shaping Nigeria? But all the same, Nigerians are hopeful. The present administration are coming with reforms, and of course, 2 days back we talked about the financial sector and the fall from about 1,000, almost 1,800 per dollar to 1,400 and at present, with the naira appreciating. So we now talked about reforms. We are talking about policies that have been able to apply. Of course, the deregulation of the oil sector generally, both at the downstream and the upstream, by granting licenses to individuals to start refineries. Somehow, because of just one out of the 40 licenses granted, one that has built a refinery, you find out that it has effect. Up to today, if you go to their filling station, the Dangote, kind of got Mrs. MRS to handle, it's MRS, sorry I used Mrs. MRS to handle the downstream, selling to the public. They sell at 700, and of course all the other stations, NNPC based, are selling at 800. So you see, if we have about 20 of the refineries producing, these reforms will certainly, have effect in Nigeria. If the agri sector has been finely funded and implemented, and we move away from subsistence agriculture, then we are certainly going to start exporting agro products in very huge sums. In fact, the revenue will improve. Today, we have over 152 trillion as debt. It is I don't know how to begin to describe it. There's so much money is being used for debt servicing. Debt servicing has been taking huge sums of money. Even with the removal of fuel subsidy, we thought that we would probably save huge amount of money which the government claimed. But instead of saving these monies, we have seen situations where the federal government is borrowing. So I do not know why we are borrowing when what is supposed to have actually sucked dry our income was the fuel subsidy. And of course, they have now introduced the electricity subsidy, which of course they are now crying that, okay, let me not use the word crying, they are now seeing that it's going up to 2 trillion per annum. Per annum. So in 4 years, we would have spent 8 trillion and then how much is the total budget of Nigeria in a year? So how can you spend so much money when the greater percentage of the masses are living a penurious life? So Edu is talking like somebody who is holding swear for the government. They will always talk tough. That we have seen government agencies and representatives talking tough through the media that all is getting well. But sometimes we have not seen it in real terms. Yeah. The indicators should be that the common man is feeding well, that the common man is living well, that the common man is not suffering, that the common man has access to good health care, that the common man has access to water, electricity, and the basic necessities of life. These are the primary indicators that shows that there's an improvement in the government, the economic policies. The economic policies bringing about improvement in the lives of the people. That's the indicator, the primary indicators that is about the life of the persons who are the citizens of the country. If they are not living well, if there is impoverishment, if the poor is getting poorer, and you are talking about economic policies being put in place, it does not hold water. It's not helping anybody. So the government should be able to look at those indicators. Even the National Office of Statistics may come up with some statistics. Somebody sometime declared, told us that, that those statistics are voodoo statistical data. So when you have voodoo statistical data, it implies that maybe these are statistics gotten armchair, where people sit down and begin to do some mathematical representations and come out with something. It does not apply in real terms to the Nigerian populace. So I think we should be able to look at that. Government should be able to look at that, So you can.
Yeah, the thing is that government policy and reforms based on the economy, looking at the situation where, like you've mentioned about the common man, that we don't have a lot of people or in the government who will come out to, experience the day-to-day activities of the common man. Talking about the policy making, I don't know how many of them who knows how much things or stuff are in the market. I don't know how many of them who could, be bold to say, this is something that I have seen or I have checked and this is what it is. Yesterday I went to get a few things and I was just thinking about, will there be a time where in the government policy making system where the government themselves, the head of the government themselves will come down to, or send spies even. So I was trying to avoid maybe not to and get into issues with people. So maybe they are spies or something. But what I'm trying to say is that we are not having them. Why we have those policies which are not coming up, which are not getting into actions, are because there have never been a time where the government we are represented fairly in the grassroots level. Now, let's take for instance, in the marketplaces where people sell things, you would see that when you talk about this going down to the grassroots, we're talking about firstly where that kind of area, that kind of scenario, day-to-day, man-to-man activities are not being recorded, are not being noted by the government. So most times when they talk about reforms, especially in the tax law and industrial law and all those laws that we are having, you would see that there's no basic understanding of what is happening. So that's why the reforms are not being carried out as it should. So I believe that with one reform we can get the others.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Now moving over to our next paper coming from The Guardian paper that says Armed Forces Resolute Against Terrorism, says CDS amid posers about Tinubu's absence. And we can see this headline at the bottom left of The Guardian paper. Now Nigeria's military leadership is sending a strong reassurance to the nation. The Chief of Defense Staff, CDS, has affirmed that the armed forces remain fully committed and resolute in the fight against terrorism across the country. This assurance comes amid public question and political chatter over President Bola Tinubu's recent absence from the country. According to the CDS, the president's physical location has no negative impact on ongoing military operations, as the armed forces are guided by established command structures, intelligence coordination, and clear national security mandates. The military insists that counter-terrorism operations are continuing without interruption, with troops actively engaged in threats, protecting communities, and maintaining pressure on insurgent groups. Now the message from the first headquarters is simple, that national security remains firm, focused and uninterrupted.
All right. Speaking to the Armed Forces Day, I think is one day in Nigerian history that we should hold here because it signifies a lot. You know, when you look at the date, is in history. Yes, we are celebrating the day for our fallen heroes, those who have paid this supreme price in the service of the nation. You know, gallant men and women, when people are shying away from enlisting in the armed forces, have gone ahead, you know, to give their all to the service of this nation. And on days like that, I, you know, reason to the welfare of their widows, their children who are left behind. You know, yesterday when I was seeing those solemn, you know, activities to mark the day, I now begin to look at the welfare of this very individual. What are we doing for them as a nation? Yes, it's very good that we've remembered them, that we have a day to celebrate them. But the question I ask is, what do we do for them? How and what role has Nigeria as a nation played in the life of this individual whose either father or mother paid the supreme price in the service of this nation? And at the other hand, you know that January 15, you know, itself embodies another historic moment in Nigerian history as well, when you talk about the first coup in Nigeria, and then you look at the issues around the Nigerian civil war as well. It begins to, you know, make a lot of historical significance. But be that as it may, I am excited that we'll have a day where we'll celebrate our fallen heroes. But the question is, Mr. Rez, what do we do for our heroes? But before I let you answer, let's call for that video where let's see the activities marking the day. So, Mr. S, like I did say, it's wonderful that we are celebrating or remembering our foreign heroes, but I'm raising the concern, about what would we do for those left behind as part of our remembering the supreme sacrifice they played in seeing that this nation remain one, in working for the safety of this nation. Today we can sit and speak because they are individuals who have paid the supreme price.
Yeah, I'm one person who has been in alignment with the call for better life for the armed forces as a whole. The military, the Air Force, the Navy, the police, and all those who are working hard to ensure the security of lives and property in Nigeria in the course of their services, because these people are vulnerable. In the course of their job, these people lose their lives. Their widows and children, sometimes within the shortest time, their widows and children evacuated from the barracks where they do not pay house rent and all that. But today, when they are moved into the villages, some go back to their localities and have nothing to offer. And some go to localities where there is insurgency and are now meant to go in IDP, internally displaced persons camps. That's where they stay. So I am one of the persons who has always called for the government revisiting the services of security agencies. How do you revisit? You give them some kind of insurance so that when they are, benefactors die in the course of the service of the nation, they will be taken care of effectively. The children will have no problem with accessing education, accessing the widows, and the children will not have a problem with accessing education, healthcare, and all the basic necessities of life. There won't be any such problem. These are some of the things that you could do to ensure that, people will not be skeptical to offer their lives to the service of this nation. You see, when people put their life on the line to defend Nigeria, you know the implication. That is even why you remember these people. But mere remembrance does not solve the problem. Government has to do meaningful, ensure the widows, the children, they access all the basic necessities of life, education, healthcare, housing, and all the rest other things that will make them survive in the course of the demise of their benefactors.
All right, thank you, Mr. Resbo. We'll still deliberate on those issues around, the remembrance of their beneficiaries, left behind, who should benefit from, if these men were alive, the people they left behind, will be moody at this time around. And like you did mention, there are a lot still left undone. But before we continue to this conversation, let's come down to Enugu State, where the governor of Enugu State led a rout yesterday.
I am deeply humbled to stand here today at this solemn annual gathering where we honor the memory of the brave men and women of our armed forces. The sacrifice of our armed forces should always be worn in our hearts. They have represented Nigeria with professionalism and courage, earning respect on international missions and reinforcing our standing in the global community. As a state government, we reaffirm our commitment to supporting the armed forces and their families. This support goes beyond ceremony. It is reflected in practical care, in advocacy, and in partnership with the federal government to ensure that those who serve and those who have served are treated with respect and care.
It's quite encouraging seeing the governor of Enugu State, Dr. Barrister Peter Ndubisimba, making that statement, and it gives a lot of hope that these ones, are remembered and that the people they left behind will not be forgotten. And across the federation, we witness the same, kind of activities. But Mr. Rest, I still come back to the conversation. What should we be doing for the ones left behind by these fallen heroes? I know you did mention that, but what should we do really to see that actions are put in place? A number of times we will out this.
Okay, we will. Let me come to that. I think whatever that is going to be done should be backed up with a legislation. That is exactly what I am talking about.
You just went to where I want you to.
So we have to back up so that it will be permanent. It's not about making statements or support for widows and the children of fallen heroes. But it's about backing up with legislation. That's exactly what I said, that government should be able to put up an insurance. That is still a legislation. It has to go through.
I just wanted you to call it. We should have a legislation. Let's back it up in law. You understand? And with that, nobody would relegate it to the background or an activity of an afterthought. After all, you understand?
Well, basically, we have seen that these people served Nigeria and they did their best to, protect the nation as a security agent. And like Mr. Reza said, putting this thing into backing it with legislation is something that we need to, I don't know if it's going to take a long year or 10 years before we now move that motion. Not us, though, before the legislation moves the motion to get it into their because that's what I'm thinking. It's not just about backing it. You remember that after the legislation, the executive have to carry it out as an executive. They have to implement it, of course. So maybe you put it into legislation. We need them to also come into. So
once we have a law to that effect, the executive that you talk to have no other option but to obey what the law says. You understand?
Well, so I can tell you, we are in Nigeria, of course. We have seen that happen sometimes, where talking about the local government issues and here and there. Now, well, we are talking about the heroes, national heroes, people who fought for Nigeria, and we are going to see what happens at the end, of course, yes.
When we call for what happened, action has to be expedited. Deborah?
Okay, I would like to say kudos to the federal government, or kudos to the government at least for honoring these fallen heroes, and also this is going to be an avenue where other people in the military or police and other people in the armed forces would also sit up or will encourage to also stand for their country.
Thank you very much. Whatever we do for the fallen heroes has a way of encouraging our brothers in arms. When they see that those, if anything happens, when you pay the supreme price, that the people you leave behind will be taken care of. It encourages you when you are at the battlefront to not bother yourself with what happens. And like Mr. Rez did say, I would call for an insurance for anyone left behind. First of all, gallant officers, many arms should be insured, and so that such a case where someone is left behind, those left behind will be well taken care of. But in all, I kudos to Nigeria for mapping out the day to celebrate our foreign heroes. If you reach out to gallant officers wherever they are, you will see that yes, yesterday was a proud day for everybody to remember the fallen heroes. And then moving up from that, we have other stories, trending news stories that are making headlines as well. And one of such news is that Abubakar Abba Atiku, son of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, has defected from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressive Congress, APC. He announced his decision at the National Assembly in Abuja. And one other key thing here is that Abba Atiku also merged his political structure, the Haske Atiku organization, into the APC, renaming it the Haske Bola Tinubu organization to support President Tinubu come 2027 re-election. Mr. S, is it not an irony?
Well, it has been like that since time immemorial. If we go back to the days of NCNC, the Action Group, Alvin Ikoku, who appears in our currency in Naira, was a politician. He was representing the East. At a point, the son, S.G. Koku, also ran election against him, and they were in the same house. This man will go out on campaign for the same position. The son will go, and then people talked to Alvin Ikoku, please do allow your son, he has come of age, to now represent, instead of both of you running. That Alvin said no. Then S.G. Koku insisted and said that he's going to beat the father into political oblivion. And he did. He won the election. So, it is not new that we have seen even in Enugu here, where a brother was in APC, the same parents, the same father, the same mother, was in APC running for governorship. The younger brother was in PDP running for House of Reps. Of course, that of House of Reps won. That of governorship lost election.
Well, Mr. Sorry to cut you short here. We are not speaking to brothers or siblings here. Yes, permissibly, we can have a brother in APC, another. I've seen in Jigawa State where one sibling, is the secretary of PDP. Yes, and the other was a coordinator of the ANPP. During the Obasanjo era. But we're speaking to former vice president who is gunning for the seat of the presidency. That's exactly. And this is his son we are speaking to.
I'm giving you an instance of a son and a father who even running against themselves for one position.
That's at the subnational then. Yes. But we're looking at the caliber. Yes. We're looking at the caliber of the former vice president.
It is the constitutional right of Abba Atiku.
Okay.
To take decision for himself. He's above 18.
Agreed.
It is his fundamental right.
Agreed.
To chart a course for himself politically.
Agreed. But what does that speak to? The ability of the former vice president.
Whatever he speaks to, after all, he had been with his father, he has seen his father, he had been with his father, he was in PDP, the father was in PDP, but at the end of the day, the father left PDP, he still remained in PDP. The father left PDP for ADC.
Mr. Rest.
And later, wait. You are not subtly pressing me to take your opinion. You are asking me.
I'm trying to lay all the facts on the table here.
And I'm trying to also inculcate the entire thing into one whole piece.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that the boy or the young man is man enough to chart a course for himself. And that is exactly what he has done. And the father said that it is his, if he so wishes to, that it is okay, that he ought to chart a course for himself, that he has right to do so. He has already responded to that. I don't know if you are trying to ask me to begin to condemn the action of the young man. It is not condemnable.
No, nobody is asking you to condemn the action of the young man. But Mr. Rest, okay, let me allow Good Hope come in, then we'll go at it.
It is even in our constitution. It is in our fundamental human rights to go for whatever
There's freedom of association. But the question I'm asking here, if a member of his household, his own son, do not trust in his ability to lead this nation, how would they generate? It is to trust. It speaks to a lot of things, Mr. Red.
It's not about trust.
It's about what?
It is about desire. No, it is about desire. He has seen his father run for presidency 1, 2, 3, and up to 4.
He wants to try.
I concur.
Wait now.
I concur.
He has seen his father run for presidency several times and lost.
Okay.
And he has a desire to be in politics.
Yeah.
And he's beginning to try his luck elsewhere. He was in PDP. The father left him there. The father did not join the party with all his own faithfuls, which the young man was inclusive amongst the PDP faithful. He left him there and joined the ADC.
Yeah.
So it is upon the guy to actually either join the ADC with his father or possibly, if he has his own ambition, because he's grown. That's exactly. He's grown to chart a course for himself. And in the course of that, so if he doesn't have confidence, if the father runs for presidency for as long as he has done that, and it's not forthcoming, and the man is not getting younger, and the younger person, and I want to tell you that I ran an election when we were in our union, and a young man, an elderly NUJ person that I went to 14 years back before I ran that election in 2016. I went to that person and told that person to come and run for chairmanship 14 years back. I knelt down in his office. So he refused, So by 2016, when I came out to run for the election, he came out to run. I told him, no, that you are old. I have the energy and all it takes to do this business more than you can do it. Therefore, step down for me. And remember that I had supported you. I had been to your office. I knelt down. You brought me up and all that. So if you do not, I will do the same thing that this SG Koku did to the father Abani Koku. And of course, I did that to him. I won that election last night. So it happens. You see, it's not about you don't have confidence. I had confidence in the young man when I went to his office. The young man Abba Atiku, it's not about lack of trust. It's not about lack of trust. It's about his own interest now.
His own personal interest.
If the father left him, but the question I'm asking you now, doesn't it speak to the political sagacity of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who we are told and who we've seen to be a deft political strategist in making and getting the son of a former vice president to, be part of his campaign team? What is Atiku going to campaign with?
Basically, I can tell you that looking at what this whole scenario, he is young, from what Mr. Rector said. He is young, and from Morris, he's very young. Him, from the president's perspective, getting this young man to join him for the campaign for 2027 is something that I can tell you. How many people have you seen what Mr. Rector have said about Abani Koku? How many people have you seen it happen to in our time? This is a repetition of history. And repeating history is part
Mr. Goodhope, if Abba is going to run for the presidency, I would throw your line of argument. But the point here is, usually we're told that nobody, agrees that this mother's pot of soup is not the sweetest. And what he has done here, either we like it or not, is to tell us that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a better candidate than my father going into 2027 election.
What if he's charting his own course?
But not running. He's not running for the seat of the presidency.
No, he's just.
His father is running for the presidency as against the sitting president. And this move only interprets to say that I am going in to support a better candidate come 2027.
It can be that way. It does not completely interpret that he's going to support a better candidate. He could even as well be a mole. So do not.
Anyways,
do not anchor on the implication as being the interpretation as being. It is not hooked at that completely. because it could happen either way. His entrance into APC could as well give the father an opportunity to get first-hand information about strategies. So do not end up like that.
Speaking to strategy, let's leave that for another day. But on the surface, the story remains that nobody accepts that their mother's pot of soup is not the sweetest. But moving on from that, Mr. Reyes, there's other emerging story from River State, where we are told that the River State House of Assembly failed to reconvene plenary as scheduled 1 week after adjourning and amid impeachment proceedings against Governor Similaye Fubara and his deputy.
Well, not coming for plenary as they agreed to, could be seen from two perspectives or more. Some rumors are that the speaker is scared of a possible turnaround on him, and some other says, of course, not just some other says, it is in the news that the presidency, there's a statement by the presidency asking them to stop forthwith any impeachment move. Right. And beyond that still, the speaker, they're also investigating their movement to APC, and they want to know if they actually did the way it should be and what motives, and if they are going to leave their seats. This controversy about leaving seats after cross-carpeting by the members of legislature is always there, and so on. So a lot of double, they call it double wahala, has been there, and that may have been instrumental to their not convening as promised.
All right, and there's news from in the grapevine that there's equally a plot to even impeach the speaker himself.
That's the initial thing I said.
But it is now as if that the hunter is now being the hunted in the whole scenario here.
So of course, during some of the discussions we had here, where you contended that Fubara did not present budget, and then I told you that the Supreme Court ruling was even before it has been overtaken by event, because that budget has eventually been passed by the National Assembly.
And it's running.
And it's running.
All right. For once of time, there are a whole lot of trending issues, but we'll hand you over to Mr. Goodhope, the sports oracle.
All right, thank you very much. We are still on the issues and the news about Nigeria leaving AFCON at the semi-finals, while they played Morocco just a few days ago, and we are seeing that our head coach, Eric Chelle, Nigeria's head coach, has come out to say that they prepared very well for the penalty. They had some good time preparing for the penalty, but it was not what they expected. And on the same line, the goalkeeper who had to display the two penalties from Nigeria's camp, he came out also to say that they faced a tougher opponent. And looking at what happened in the match, we would say that it was a match that we never, I have already said that this match would be a tough test for Nigeria, because looking at how Morocco played and how Nigeria plays too, it was going to be something that we may not have an advantage over. But we were positive, and we could not scale through to the next round. On the same line, Nigeria is going to play Egypt tomorrow by 5 p.m. And what do we think about that match tomorrow, playing Egypt, another North African Pharaohs of Egypt? These guys, they play very well. But I wanted to ask Mr. Rex, who would you have picked between Morocco and Egypt for us to play in the semi-final?
If they had given us Egypt, I would have loved to play Egypt.
Okay.
Although, during the preparation we had a friendly match with Egypt.
Yes.
And we lost
2-1.
Yes, we lost to Egypt. But that would not actually determine whether we will lose to Egypt
yes,
in a real tournament situation.
Okay, yeah.
So even the match between Morocco and Nigeria, it was obvious. The Moroccans were good. They were contesting every ball. They had better opportunities. We didn't have many shots on goal. In fact, they stopped. And remember that our midfield maestro was not in that game.
So Wilfred.
Yes, Wilfred was not in that game, and that, of course, told on us.
If you had watched the game,
yes,
you would see how Nigeria played. Nigeria centered on the midfield.
So it's
while the Moroccans played wide. Of course, the counters, like in this game, Nasser Nasri, the Moroccan defender, had more successful dribbles in that match. He had 3 successful dribbles in the match, and he played from the wide. With Hakimi or Akraf Hakimi of PSG. They play from the wide. That was something that an analyst said that Nigeria would have just switched the game by bringing in more because the ball did not move. There was no much shots. There was more close range, and I was saying it when I was seeing the match that this game is not going to be something that we may have an advantage over with the way we play. But it's still in the same line. We are looking forward to Erichele advancing his contract as the head coach of Nigeria, because there are other interests from other teams, just like he has done with Malik and he has done with other people. So I think that we are having something. I don't know. Can you grade the performance of the head coach now? What he has done? What do you think about the Nigeria's head coach? And looking at the Super Eagles of before and now, what do you think about it, sir?
All right. The Super Eagles head coach in this tournament will be seen to have done very well, being that in this very tournament, like we did mention when we were analyzing the situation, he was able to deploy a formidable midfield like we've never seen it in a long while. And I, for one, while I'm not averse to him being given a new contract, I feel, because when it comes to sports, especially football, I would pride myself as a fundamentalist. And when I speak to being a fundamentalist, it is to the structures of the game. I feel that each time, has he merited being awarded a new contract? And the question is, moving forward, is he the best person for Nigeria to get, to lead the Nigerian Super Eagles out of the conundrum of non-qualification, speaking to World Cup qualification, the ability to adapt foreign-based and local-based players into a single formidable team, which is what we'll see going for the Senegalese in this very AFCON tournament.
All right. Thank you very much for that. We hand over back to our host.
All right. Next, we'll go into our business update. And then yesterday, Thursday, January 15, 2026, the Nigerian equities market snapped its 3-day winning streak as the benchmark all-share index fell by 0.43% to close at 166,057.30 points. Profit taken in select mid-cap and large-cap stocks led to a decrease in market capitalization, which shed approximately 457 billion naira to settle at 106.34 trillion naira. Despite the overall dip, market activity remained high with over 1 billion shares traded. Then moving over to the top 5 gainers as at yesterday, we see that mid-cap consumer and financial stocks led the gainers list, with several hitting the maximum daily price list, and one of such is Nestle Nigeria PLC, which is traded as Nestle. Yesterday closed its books at 2,153 naira 80 kobo, making a plus 10% positive adjustment. They are followed by NCR Nigeria, which closed its book yesterday at 116.90 kobo, making a plus 9.97% adjustment. And then we're seeing Jaiz Bank equally on the list of top 5 gainers, making 8.20, closing the book yesterday at 8 naira 20 kobo, making a plus 9.92% adjustment. And they are followed by Morrison Industries Limited, which closed this book yesterday at 5 naira 66 kobo, equally making a positive adjustment of 9.90%. And here we have Mikio Industries, equally pharmaceutical, PLC stock, closing its book yesterday at 97 naira 97 naira 70 kobo, making a plus 9.84% positive adjustment. And on the list of losers yesterday are led by McNichols, which closed its trading yesterday at 6 naira 58 kobo, making a negative 9.99 negative adjustment. And we'll see Captain Offshore. Carlton closed his book yesterday. Carlton Offshore closed his book yesterday at 7 naira 65 kobo, equally in the negative. And they are followed by Ikeja Hotel, which closed his book yesterday at 35 naira 5 kobo, making equally a negative 9.43% adjustment. And then looking at the market sentiment, the analyst suggests that this rise was expected following the relentless rally seen earlier in the month. Investors appear to be repositioning their portfolio ahead of the upcoming corporate earning season, where full year 2025 results are expected to drive the next wave of momentum. And then looking at the Naira performance as of yesterday, when we go to the official market, the Naira strengthened marginally at the Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange Market, where the closing rate was at 1,420 Naira per dollar, away from the previous day where it closed at 1,419.50 kobo against the dollar. And then when we go to the parallel market, the average rate as of yesterday was 1,485 naira to 1,505 naira against the dollar. This trend, we're seeing the gap between the official and parallel rates remain narrow, roughly at to 5 to 6%, suggesting that the central bank's recent liquidity intervention are helping to curb extreme volatility in the market.
All right, thank you very much for that. And now moving over to our celebration, which happened yesterday, which was the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. And also, as we honor the brave men and women who have paid the ultimate price in defense of our nation, we must also honor their living legacy they left behind, which is their widows and also their children. Now, their sacrifices should not end on the battlefield. It must also be remembered through our collective responsibility to ensure that their families are well protected, they're supported also, which was what the government has promised, to honor their family and protect their families or loved ones in this as in honor of this day, which is the Nigerian Armed Forces Remembrance Day. And also that we should ensure that the families are being given dignity, and also caring for the widows and children of our fallen heroes is not an act of charity, it's a moral duty, which one must keep their sacrifices alive in our hearts and in our actions. So let us remember these fallen heroes, and also let us also honor the ones who are living, because it is not easy to always, especially during this time of insecurity and all that. Now we should also honor those that are fallen and also those standing for our country, making sure we are all safe and sound.
All right. Forces Day will still, hail Nigeria for remembering to celebrate, but we should go one step further in taking care of those left behind by our heroes.
Okay, all right, thank you very much for that. Well, now this is where we end today's edition on Sunrise on Aneke TV, and please do not forget to follow us across our social media platforms, across Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube, all at Aneke TV, or call our phone number 070-3043-7110. It's always a pleasure having you here on our show every morning. I am Deborah Wakuba.
All right, and thank you, Mr. S. Arum, for those animated, in-depth analysis on issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you once more.
Yes, sir. And to you, Mr. Goodhope, it's always a pleasure having you around. Thank you very much. And I'm Uche Osai. Remember, you're not here to be average. Be unique. Keep watching Aneke TV to come your way. Same time on Monday. Bye-bye. the Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter whose ox is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last blood.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on the Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us. Thank you for joining us today on The Insight. Remember, The Insight is that program where we bring to you heartbeats of issues, topical headlines that help in shaping our nation. And today on The Insight, we are having one-on-one with Comrade Chukwuma Stella, the chairman, ADC in Enugu State. Comrade, Happy New Year, and thank you for joining us on The Insight.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year. And as we will say, compliments of the season.
Yes, many happy returns. Yeah. It's a pleasure to see you one more time.
Thank you.
And since the last time we met, we were here in our studio. Yes, a lot has happened.
Yeah.
And that was in 2025, really.
Yes.
But 2026, here we are. And let's just get back to it. One was wondering or thinking that ADC will be at the back burner, coming into 2026, given the position of opposition parties in Nigeria. When you look at opposition parties, they are rarely nowhere to be seen. But Igbo came into 2026, especially ADC in Enugu State, stronger. Yeah. How were you able to do that magic?
Well, the magic really started with the formation of the coalition. In July 2025, a lot of persons came in from different political parties and chose ADC as the coalition party with which to procure the next coming election and going forward. So persons like the former Vice President of Nigeria, His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, like the former governor of Kaduna State, Erufai, like the former governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Amechi, the former governor of Oyo State, Rauf Aregbesola, and all the, so many of them like that, former senators and all that. So they came in to choose ADC. They chose ADC as the coalition party, and they're coming in kind of like a signaled a lot of things for the party. And then to cap it all on the 31st of December, when it was almost as if the Southeast was not, doing much in terms of the coalition. On the 31st of December, the former governor of Anambra State, His Excellency Peter Obi, came in with his own group, and that signaled a new thing and a new shift in the coalition movement, and that's what is making ADC stronger, so to say.
All right. Yes, I was wanting to get into that conversation.
Yeah.
Like ADC are high flyers, and then we can. But okay, let's start from it. We did watch that outing at Aneke Lake.
Yes.
Where His Excellency, former governor of Anambra State, the presidential candidate of Labour Party in 2023 election, coming into the coalition proper, or I would say, is he a defection to ADC proper? What's the word to use?
Well, if you use defection, fine.
Okay.
If you say coming in, good.
All right.
Because what he did was a formal declaration of his membership with ADC, and at that moment he also said he has resigned his membership of the Labour Party, because, as you know, you cannot be a member of two political parties. You must belong to one. So his entry into ADC also has signaled his exit from a Labour Party. Okay. So he's now a full-fledged member of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, just like so many others like him.
All right. You know, there are two issues here.
Yeah.
One, a lot of persons have argued, why the choice of Enugu State? How did you make Peter B come to Enugu State, and why did people choose Enugu State? He's from Anambra State.
Yeah.
It's expected that he would have gone to his ward in Anambra State to pick the ADC form rather than Enugu State. So
Well,
why the choice of Enugu
if
State?
you know, back in history, you know that Enugu State is the capital of the Southeast. Yes, and Enugu State, before even being the capital of the Southeast, Enugu State was once the capital of Nigeria, and later became the capital of Eastern Nigeria, comprising Rivers State and all that, and so many other states that, you know, made up the Eastern region as a then. And then, so choosing Enugu State is just like telling the whole world that I am going back to base, the capital of the Southeast, the capital of the the Eastern region, and the former capital of Nigeria. So it is very significant.
Okay. So the choice of Enugu was to make a statement.
It was to make a statement.
Is it
Yeah.
that the,
And you know that shortly after,
Igbos are with him, or?
you know that shortly after that, 3 days later, he went to Anambra to pick up his membership card.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, but we're asking, is Enugu State a statement to the Igbos, you know, him commanding the eastern states?
He is not just commanding the eastern states. He is commanding the eastern region. He is in fact, he is commanding Nigeria. He's not just commanding the eastern region. And we would not want to think the other party, the umbrella party, yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday, they also chose Enugu State as their as the state for their convergence. Yes. So Enugu State is very significant. It's playing a very significant role as far as Southeast politics is concerned.
Yes, and I was going to, you know, ask you questions about that convergence, the APC stakeholders meeting in Enugu State, where they've come out to endorse the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as the candidate, not just of their party, but, you know, projecting and prompting the Igbos, the Southeast, to adopt President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the man for 2027.
Well, that is them, the APC caucus. You will now ask yourself, how many of the grassroots followed them? Who are those that, you know, followed them to adopt President Tinubu? It is them, the governors, their aides and all that. They were just the ones that converged and adopted. But then, they don't even hold the electorate. They're not. They don't have the ultimate say of who the grassroots, who ultimately are the voters, so to say. They have adopted him. But then, on the day of the election, the electorates will decide who they will vote for.
All right, very well. Let's still go back to the issue around P2B, you know, joining ADC.
Yeah.
Now, there's been this back and forth on his joining the ADC against the background that even before the formal declaration for ADC, P2B is quoted to have said that he will be on the ballot.
Yeah.
And we know that the likes of Atiku Abubakar has come out publicly to say that they are not stepping down for anybody. So I want to ask, being that you're the chairperson of APC in ADC, in Enugu State, what are the chances that we may most likely not see P2B on the ballot?
Well, you know, the last time I was here, that was immediately after the coalition.
Yes.
And I know that you asked, you know, what informed it. And I said, there were discussions that they held. All of them that, you know, came up to say it is ADC, they held discussions. And they are still holding discussions. After the announcement of the coalition, you know that Atiku came and joined. El-Rufai picked up his membership card. And Aregbesola also picked his membership card. It was not like P2B was still dragging his feet because he wanted some T's to be crossed and I's to be dotted. And I believe that having formally declared for ADC, because I remember that also that there was something that, you know, we told him then that you cannot be outside and now be detecting for someone that is inside. It's when you come inside fully and you register with the party and you become a member of the party, then we take it up from there. Now that he's a full member of the party, there are discussions that are ongoing. There are things that are being done. And ultimately, the desire of every right-thinking person is that His Excellency P2B will eventually clean the party. We are going to go into primaries. He said he's going to go into the primaries. And one thing is that AGC, we've always had very clear-cut primaries. So we are going to hold our primaries. It is now that the game has started. And they are going to be talking to a lot of people. There are going to be alignments. There are going to be realignments. There are going to be so many things to be done before the primaries. But one thing is that ultimately, when the primary is held, the right person, the right candidate will emerge,
and
yes.
all of you in ADC will support the right person.
Oh,
when
we
that
will,
person does
sure,
emerge. So
yes.
no need asking if where you stand in all this. I understand, but you know, I ask these questions, especially, you know, when I interact with a lot of analysts, and they seem to position that the ruling APC seem to be rattled with the joining or the declaration or the defection to ADC by Mr. P2B. Though, when I read the, you know, tweets from Bayo Ononoga and the Minister of Aviation, they seem to be of the position that P2B is not telling the followers the truth, that he is already accepted to be a vice presidential candidate to Atiku.
Well, I wouldn't know. I am not P2B. The one thing I know is that P2B has followers. And like I said, it is during the primaries that who will become the ADC presidential candidate will emerge. Our hope, especially down here, is that it will be P2B. That is what we hope, that's what we pray for. But where it is not, it will still be in the best interest of the country.
Okay, that's quite apt. Now that we're talking about P2B's joining ADC, and especially with the high-profile individual who were with him on that day, you know, as far as Southeast is concerned, and I want to know how his entry, these high-profile entries into ADC, has really strengthened or challenged the party structures of ADC in Enugu State.
Well, definitely, you know, it's going to affect the structure. We, not just now that he has entered, even after the announcement of the coalition, you know, we have to do some harmonizations so that we could you know, accommodate those that are coming in. And it's still an ongoing thing. As people come in, you see where you are strong. You hold that one. Where you are weak, sort of, you bring in the other person that is more stronger to be there. So we are doing a whole lot of readjustments and harmonization to accommodate the interest of everybody. Yes.
Now, as the chairperson of ADC in Enugu State,
Yeah.
you know, when we talk about P2B, we speak about the obedient movement.
Yes.
What are you doing to convert this obedient movement or the obedience into faithful party supporters or committed party members in ADC?
Yeah, we are working harmoniously, and also on a Wednesday, was it Wednesday or Thursday, the coordinator of the obedience movement in Enugu State and his team, they came to meet us and pledged their loyalty, because of course we have to be loyal to the party, and we are working together. And you know, the obedient movement, incidentally, it's not just the obedient movement. You have the people that they call them, they cope them. You have this other one that they call a global obedient movement. There's another one. I think there's so many, you know, like that, structures in the obedient movement. So they are all coming together, and it's honestly making the party stronger.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's come down a bit to Enugu State. We've talked a little bit about Peter himself.
Yeah.
Now coming to Enugu State, I want to ask, what are the chances of the ADC coming into 2026, which is preparatory ground for the election? If it will hold in 2027 or in 2026, we are not yet certain.
Yeah.
But we're looking at 2026, 2027, except if the constitution is amended to bring it forward to 2026. But I want to know, given that the governor of Enugu State, for example, has moved from PDP to the ruling party, the APC, what are the chances of ADC in Enugu State when you have to battle an incumbent?
Well, anybody that comes up for election prepares himself to win election. And because we are also going to prepare ourselves to win elections, we are going to be very careful of the candidates that we are going to pick to hold our tickets in the coming elections. Whether you move from party A to party B as a governor, whether you remain where you are, the thing is that, what are the electorate saying? What are they saying? What the people in the streets, what is the opinion about you? The market people, what are they saying about you? Those that those that are farmers, what are they saying about you? And it is all these things they're saying about you that will ultimately decide who will win the forthcoming election. Whether you defect, whether you remain where you are, it is the people's opinion, not what you say about yourself. It is what the masses are saying about you. And I know, and you know, what the masses are saying. We all know what happened in 2023 elections. We don't want to go there. The thing is that somebody has been declared as having won the election, both at the national and the state, but we know what played out. And these things that played out then is what everybody is kind of like saying, we are going to be very firm, we are going to vote, and we are going to stay till the last vote is counted. We are not going to give any chance, because it was a chance that was given by the electorates in the last election that brought us to where we are, both in the national and at the state level.
All right. Now, one thing we can ask, because you are here with me, what are the people saying about ADC? You talk about the market people. What are they talking about ADC? What are the farmers talking about ADC? What are the laborers?
What they are saying about ADC now is they're saying it is the party that will give us hope. It is the party that will wipe away our tears, our sufferings. It is the party that will change the narrative. That is what they are saying. Ask questions. And people are queuing out. They are queuing out in their numbers to register. I receive calls on daily basis. My people receive calls. Where is your party? I tell you, last Thursday, I was in the office. One barrister walked in with he just came up out the office and said, I want to register. Register me. I was looking at it. I said, what, sir? He said, register me. I have come to register. And that is what everybody is saying. That is what everybody is doing. They are coming out. And we have not even commenced the registration proper. We have not come, because just last week the registration team was inaugurated in Abuja, and we are going to inaugurate our own here, and we are going to start. And people are tired. It does not matter whether you move from this PDP to APC. It is still the same people that have all the only thing that changed is the change in the name of the party. They know who are there, and they have said no to them. They want a new breath of life, and ADC is bringing that new breath of life.
Okay, but speaking of the movement, you know, the part of the accusation against the ADC and even the ruling party equally uses that as well to say that it's the same people that moved from PDP, from Labour Party, even from APC. They say that most of them are those who didn't get get nomination, or those who didn't get appointment from Mr. President, or some of them who are disgruntled, that have moved into ADC, that is still the same people that are in ADC?
There is one thing, and that thing is the uniqueness of the ADC constitution. And that was what was studied. I tell you, in 2018, for instance, when the former president, Obasanjo, started his Coalition for Nigeria movement, and he wanted it to, be part of a political party, he called so many political parties. By the time he finished looking at the constitution of ADC, he said, this is the party we have chosen. And since then, he has remained steadfast in ADC. And when the coalition also wanted to happen, they also looked at other political parties and said, this is what the party that kind of gives us what we are looking for. Yeah, they might have said they are coming from different climes. Everybody will not work for a particular government. If you're saying that there are people that are disgruntled, a former vice president, disgruntled about what? A former governor that later became a minister, what else is he looking for? So why would he be disgruntled? And so these are persons that have said, we are tired of what is happening. Let us form a new Nigeria. Let us do something different from what we have been doing. And these are persons that have come together, that have looked also at ADC constitution, looked at what we call the ADC DNA, and said, this is the party we are going to follow. So it doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter how people look at ADC. The most important thing is that ADC is providing an alternative. Is the party that is now giving voice to the voiceless. Look at somebody like Aisha Yusuf. She said that she has never been a card-carrying member of any political party. But because this has to happen, because Nigeria needs to get a fresh breath, she said she's joining ADC because they're going to make things happen. So, those people, what of those masses that have never sought any political appointment but are coming into ADC? What are they going to say about them?
Okay. Now, let me still bring you back to Enugu State.
Yeah.
I did ask about the ADC chances, since as an incumbent governor who is a member of the ruling political party, the APC, against the background that even when I was discussing with some, people from Enugu State, they cite a lot of projects, they cite a lot of innovation, that the governor has embarked on. And Enugu State, they talk about Enugu State being and having one of the most, monumental budgets, called Budget of Renewed Momentum, where we have about 1.something trillion in the budget. And then the governor equally has, gone into grassroots mobilization, where they want to get 2 million people registered into the APC as well. And I ask, what is your grassroots mobilization to counter this move, going into
They said they want to mobilize. They have not mobilized. And they said the governor has done so well. He has done well. Capital projects he has done. Now you're making, building monumentals within the Enugu metropole. I'm not sure that all these things is giving food to somebody. I don't know where, but I am from Ini. I'm not sure that all these things he's doing in Enugu has given food to the person, the grassroots person in my village at Umbomini. Okay. Incidentally, these people that have shops, small shops like that, when they see the tax collectors coming, they lock their shops and run. One came one day and said, I don't want to open my shop today because these people, the revenue people are coming. That everything I have in my shop is not even up to 100,000 naira. And she's being made to pay 36,000 naira as tax per year. That's 3,000 per month. She said, go to my shop. I just open it because I have to do something. The persons that were displaced at Ogbete Market, where they now have both terminals and all that and all that. All those shops that were displaced so that you can have such terminals at Ogbete, at Gariki and all that. There were people's shops that were destroyed. Were they properly relocated? And now, these persons, can they even afford these shops that are existing there now? They cannot. So they are literally displaced. And we can go on and on. Yeah, he can say he wants, you can even say, it is good to be ambitious. You can even say he wants to mobilize the whole of Enugu State. Let me tell you, it would have been better for the governor to have remained in PDP, that Enugu people know, than going to join APC.
Why would you say that?
The Enugu people, at least they are known to be PDP people. They like PDP. They're going to join APC that has brought a lot of suffering to the people, that has not really impacted on the lives positive of any person in Nigeria, that has brought a lot of, insecurity. There was insecurity now, but by the time Tinubu came in, it heightened, propelling the president of America to even want to intervene. It's the height of it. And so, whether he going to APC, I don't know. I don't want, but APC is not a good market as far as Enugu people is concerned.
In other words, the government has played into ADC's hand and given ADC more chances in Enugu State. That's what you're saying?
I bet you. I bet you, yes. And we are going to give him a run for his money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, that will dealt with Enugu State. There's another issue that I would want us to equally, throw more light on, and is around equally issues surrounding your party, the opposition party in general, and Mr. Peter Obi as well. Part of the argument over time is that the opposition parties are in disarray, and we've seen that in Labour Party, and they seem to follow His Excellency Peter Obi wherever he goes. How strong is your party to withstand the APC and other maneuvering, to see that ADC pulls the way of the Labour Party, the PDP, and all that?
They have tried, but each time they try, it hits a brick wall. Initially, they wanted to stop the coalition from happening. It did happen. Then they got some members of the ADC to initiate a case against the David Mark-led leadership, and it is also hitting a brick wall. So anything they want to bring, ADC is well grounded to withstand it. I will tell you something. Before the 2023 elections, there were some issues we had at the party then, and some state chairmen went to court. And that court lingered and lingered. But just as this coalition was able to, because that would have rubbed off on badly on ADC. But those people, they came back on their own and said, we are withdrawing the case we have against ADC. And they withdrew the case. And so there is no visible case against ADC as a party. Anybody, other people that are trying their own, but we know that as far as we are concerned, and any decision that is taken by the leadership of a political party, especially the NEC, is binding. You cannot go against it. And especially the NEC that was supervised by INEC. So that is what makes ADC strong.
All right. On that note, we'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll begin to look at other issues as well. Stay with us, please. The Insight with Uche Osai.
having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter who sorts is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last blood.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on the Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us. Thank you for staying with us on the Insight. And if you're just joining us, we've been having one-on-one with Comrade Chukwuma Stella, the chairman, Enugu State, ADC in Enugu State. It's been a pleasure discussing with you on these issues. But yes, we've covered many grounds. We've spoken about the activities, the new entrance into your party, especially the activities what happened in Aneke here in Enugu.
Yeah.
We've spoken about former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. We've talked about the opposition, a lot of things, and what you are doing in terms of mobilization and all that. But I'm still a little bit on this mobilization. Looking at ADC as it is now, what has changed with the influence of these members, the coalition? What has changed?
Well, what has changed really is that before now, you know, when you say ADC, you say, Nkobo party, you know, is this one also party? But since after the coalition, the people now come to say, please, we want to join that your party. I remember one particular person that, you know, came to me and said, come and join us in our party. Whatever thing, I know you are state chairman, okay, when you join us, at least we'll find position for you. And I said, I'm comfortable where I am. That was some years back. So he has come now to say, please, I want to be a member of your party. And so that is what has changed.
But that quickly reminds me, let's talk about the other parties in Enugu State. Are they not approaching you to move over to their fold? Talk about the APC, for instance. They've not been approaching you to either leave the ADC and join them as well.
No.
Yes.
They know they cannot.
Why?
Why would they ask me to join them?
Why?
I didn't join them when I should. Is it now that my party is even the beautiful bride that I should?
Okay, your party is the most beautiful
yes,
bride.
Yes, my party is the most beautiful bride, honestly.
All right.
And people are even coming from APC to join my party. People are coming from PDP to join my party. Wow. Yes.
Those who have ambition for 2027 or just the
well, most of them just say we like what is happening. We want to be part of it. Yeah, so many of them are coming.
Okay. Looking at the grassroots, for example, what's the mobilization been like with this coalition happening?
Yeah, we are kicking off our mobilization. The registration, honestly, we are kicking it off next week. You know, like I told you, we just had the launch of the membership registration and revalidation committee. You know, they just swore them in last Wednesday or Thursday, and incidentally, too, somebody, you know, from Enugu State is one of them, from the Bazuagu, the famous Bazuagu, you know, he ought to have, you know, stayed back and for us to interact, and then but he had to go to Abuja for an urgent call. So as soon as he comes back, we kick off. But then that does not mean that we are not registering people. We're already registering, and honestly, it's very impressive. I'm happy with what is happening. On Friday, I got somewhere. They said I should come and see what the award. I look at what they are doing at the award. And when I got there, the time I saw the crowd, I said, you mean all these people came out for ADC in one word? They said yes. And I thought that they didn't make the announcement, you know, elaborate. Otherwise, that I wouldn't, that space where I saw there would have been taken over. And today, at Oji River, you know, somebody said he wanted to declare just that we should just call about 40 persons he wanted to declare. And by the time we got there, and we said, okay, will you ward chairman just get ward chairman, ward secretary? Ward chairman, ward secretary, that's 20 wards in Oji River. Ward secretary, ward chairman, that's 40. I told the local government chairman, okay, get these 40 persons, let them come. By the time we got there, the crowd I saw there was almost like 150. And not that there was any formal announcement. It's just somebody will say, I'm going to Oji, we are doing something. Say, I'll go with you. That's to tell you the level of acceptance of this party. We don't need to bribe them with money. We don't need to buy bags of rice to give them, to lure them to come to the party. We don't need to make promises to them to lure them to the party. They come of their own volition. And that is the beautiful thing about it.
Wow, that was wonderful. Now, Comrade Stella
Yes.
Chukuma.
Yes, sir.
Good. You are playing in men's stuff. And from the last time we spoke, I was thinking that you were so stressed up with the activities, but you still look so fresh, so kept. How are you doing it? Being that you're playing in a very what we call the Champions League.
Honestly, I just want to appreciate the team that are with me. You know, these guys, they are just they're wonderful, and they've not allowed me to be ruffled. You know, and the people that are also coming in, I don't know, they just keep kind of like have this belief that, oh, a woman, no, we want to work with this woman. That I know there's something they keep saying, that if a woman tells you no, she means her no. And I think that is also one of the things that, has made my work easier. So they feel that a woman can do it. And because they feel that a woman can do it, nobody has really kind of like want to rub shoulders and say, look at you, sit down, do you know you're a woman? No, they have not. I keep having, this kind of encouraging words for people. The former governor, because he's the leader of the party in Enugu State by virtue of his former position. And, when I called him, he would just say, Mwada, Jisike, I hope no, but and that is him. He will encourage you, and other people keep encouraging us. And anywhere you feel challenged and you say, before you even say, I'm feeling challenged here, there's somebody that is already saying, this is how you go about it. So, and beyond everything, it is just the grace of God. I'm grateful to God for thus far we have come.
And what's been family support like? Because it takes a lot. You have to be here. There are a lot of engagements and all that.
Well, it's maybe because you don't have small children around, so they are the persons that can take care of themselves. My husband is late, so it's not like you will say, this woman, where are you? This and that. So it's a bit easier. It's a bit easier with the kid and all that. So.
Right. But I remember something that we talked about the last time you were here, and I want to ask a bit on a lighter note. Do you still, when people call and you pick and they say it's a woman, do you still get that shock? A woman? Does it still happen?
Yes, somebody called me one day and said, when did I remember? He said, I want to speak with the chairman of Enugu State. I said, speak. I'm the one speaking. And I said, okay, chair lady. He didn't know whether to address me now as chairman or chair lady. I said, hello. He said, yeah. I said, you know what? Just take a breath. Breathe in. I said, okay, now, how do you want to address me? I said, in our constitution, we don't have chair lady. We have chairman. So call me chairman. So we started laughing and he called me chairman. But, there are still some that will say, this one, one or two persons like that. But, overall, I've gotten a big support from the men, and it's encouraging.
All right, before I let you go, let's get your final submission as we step into 2026. What are we expecting from you and the ADC going into 2026 from Enugu State and nationally?
Yeah, going in 2026 is preparatory to the elections, And a lot of things are going to be happening. We are going to be having primaries. We are going to be having campaigns will be starting and all that. So my take is that for ADC, we have said that we are going to be careful when we pick our candidates. And we also want to ask Nigerians, both in the Enugu, both in the Nigerians at large, that politics is not a do-or-die affair. The moment we understand that it is not do-or-die affair, we will play politics that is sweet. So I will be, for ADC, we are peace-loving. For ADC, we want everybody to come on board so that we can change the political scenario. We want persons that don't have their voters card. That is also one of the things we are going to be advocating seriously. You must get your voters card because without it, you cannot vote. And I cannot just say that with ADC, the future is bright for Nigeria and Nigerians.
All right, very well said. And we've been speaking with Comrade Chukuma Stella, the chairman of ADC in Enugu State, and we've been looking at the issues around the ADC generally. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
My pleasure too, sir.
Yes,
Thank
and
you.
do remember that on the Insight, your view matters. Let us know what you think about the ADC in Enugu State and other issues that you want us to discuss on Insights. And we'll be here. Just reach us with our hashtag or the Insights all at Aneke TV on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and our WhatsApp handle as well. Till we come your way same time, I still remain your host, Uche Osai. Bye-bye. The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter who sorts is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last blood.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on the Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us.
As technology continues to advance, artificial intelligence is finding its way into every aspect of our lives, including education. But as school experience with AI teachers and virtual classrooms, one question remains: can we trust AI to educate our children? Today, we hit the street to find out what Nigerians think.
I wouldn't trust AI to, but they can inform. There's a difference between education and information. Education is like training, taking over. You have a teacher in school. You should listen to your lecturer. It's not about what somebody says. Or this is garbage in, garbage out. Even those of us who use computer know that at a stage computer gets confused on which word to put. The same thing applies to those of you who use Google to travel. At a stage, Google can carry you to another place. So you can consult AI when the need arises. It's especially for research work. If you are writing your project now, there are things you want to get to know. You ask AI. AI will tell you. You put it in your work. Or if you are a student, for instance, or you are doing a research, not that things you are supposed to learn in school, then you drop it and AI will take over.
Yeah. Because it's more understanding than anything. It's more they are more understanding.
One thing there is that change is the only thing that is constant. In this era, if you say that you wouldn't want your children to learn through AI or whatever, that means you don't understand the extent that AI is going. Yes, of course, they must have to learn through the use of AI, but that cannot replace the involvement of human beings, because AI may be efficient, but it doesn't have that empathy that human beings have. So there are certain things embedded in nature, made by God himself, that no technology can reproduce. And those things are why we cannot ignore certain other things that must be brought in, even as we use technology. But as for whether I would want my children to imbibe the AI stuff, that one is certain, because this is the era for it. A lot of things are now being done using AI.
I prefer human being. AI is a robot. It's not everything that he knows. But human being, naturally, there are some things he explained. It's not just how do I put it? It's not. It's sometimes you ask question and human being explain with nature, but robot don't know anything about nature. He cannot explain. It's only what he thinks is better. Let me just say, some most of the time ask AI a question, he will say he don't know it. But as a human, once you are educated and you exist, you just have a little reference to what someone has, even if you cannot tell the full detail of that, but you can give out something that the person will hold on.
I trust AI to educate me because it's an artificial intelligence which can make you to be what, to be computer literate, that will guide you, and also you can use it to empower yourself in order for you to be financial dependent. It can lecture you into a technology aspect of life, which you can use it to produce a lot of things and be useful to yourself. I don't think that there is any negative side of it, because for my children, it helps them in solving their homework, which there is artificial AI, that is artificial intelligence app, that is in my phone, that will help my son to do some of his homework by himself in mathematics.
AI, there is the human factor. AI is not as calculative. AI cannot calculate, okay, this is what you need. For example, when you say my educational level, you mean as like different professions now. So for example, in medicine, AI does not know, AI does not have experience. So AI cannot train me according to what's happening in real life situation. It only has intelligence. There's intelligence and there's real life circumstance. So AI can't give practical examples. So in the negative side, I realize maybe it can make people become lazy because every little thing people now jump to AI. It can reduce their intelligence quotient because what makes people intelligent is stress their mind to think more. So AI can make people stop thinking, and which is now reducing their intelligence quotient, which means that whenever there is no AI, they can't function properly.
I'll prefer human beings to educate my children because I think they foremost had a knowledge about education. AI just came like a year ago or 2 years ago. In as much as yes, the world is internet based and AI is what is the main issue right now, but I would still prefer a human than AI. Concerning our society these days, the children these days are so internet inclined. So, and we parents these days are trying to be very, very careful with what our children see online. So, if my child is above 16, I can trust AI, but below that age, I wouldn't want to because of what is in the internet these days.
The opinions on AI education are mixed. While some see it as future of learning, others remain cautious. One thing is clear, as technology shapes our classrooms, the conversation about trust, qualities, and human touch in education is only just beginning. I am Chinaza Ifeanyi, Aneke TV.
Aneke TV and the Office of the Special Advisor to the Enugu State Governor on Political Matters have resolved to collaborate in strengthening public communication and promoting people-centered governance across the state. The resolution was reached during a courtesy visit by a delegation from Aneke TV to the Special Advisor on Political Matters, Chief Frank Anioma, at the Government House, Enugu. While welcoming the initiative, Chief Frank Anioma reaffirmed the Enugu State government's commitment to inclusive governance and sustainable development. He commended Aneke TV for its role in public enlightenment and formally granted the station approval to cover activities and programs of his office.
I am highly delighted to have the Aneke TV crew in my office this afternoon. I'm humbled by the kind words that this noble organization have heaped on me. What I did was just a normal way of trying to support, especially the particular program that Aneke TV had for the children. So with this kind of appreciation and recognition of that little support, I must tell you, it has encouraged me to do more depending on the resources available. So I'm highly honored and I'm happy that with your visit. So my regards to the leadership of Aneke TV that are not here. That, I'm happy with your pledge and promise to assist this government to help in pushing out the efforts and the achievements of His Excellency Barrister Peter Ndubisimba. So I welcome the partnership and your pledge, and I will equally try to discuss with the media team of this government so that every program we have, Aneke TV should be able to be invited to be part of it. So it is a hand of fellowship that is welcomed by us, and I'm happy about that.
The visit, led by the head of presentation, Mr. Uche Osai, and the head of programs, Mrs. Ngozi Otahumele, focused on building a strategic media partnership aimed at amplifying government policies, development achievement, and the civic engagement through impactful and people-focused programming.
I would first to say a very deep and heartfelt thank you for your support over time. Each time we call on you, you show us your unalloyed support, and it has translated to the success of our engagements, especially citing our end of year party. A lot of impact was made in Enugu State, being that we were able to host children as far as people coming from Ubi to participate in that event, and your support, we would say without reservation, made it a success. Aneke TV, being a media organization that prides itself on integrity and upholding the ethics of the profession without being biased, we feel that the hand of friendship that you've given us should be extended such that we can be able to come in and project what your government the government of His Excellency Dr. Peter Mbah is doing should be projected. We feel that with our in-depth analysis on issues, our reach, we will be able to give it another dimension that has not been projected so far.
Both parties described the partnership as a significant step towards improving information flow between the government and the people, with the objective of enhancing transparency, accountability, and greater public partnership in governance.
We decided to bring up a program that will be showcasing the activities of government. There are so many things that the government is doing that the people don't know. And we don't want to wait for 2027 during the election. We know you've been a local government chairman and we know your capacity. And I want to say that the government did not, the governor, Dr. Peter Mbah, did not make any mistake in appointing you a political advisor. He knows what you're capable of doing. So Aneke TV felt that we can work with your office to project this project that he's doing.
I am Sharon Uche, Aneke TV. Aneke TV and the Office of the Special Advisor to the Enugu State Governor on Political Matters have resolved to collaborate in strengthening public communication and promoting people-centered governance across the state. The resolution was
Aneke Television. Heu, agiribom di egwu nkwazi na ya mgboji okwukwu kakwa ogwugwu mma. Heu, mgbe ụwa bịa na ihe ebube eme, mgbagbu ụwa gbatawa na ihe ebube emewa. Aneke Television na-emere ogbenye emere amadi ihe. Ị na-agba nkwụ, ị na-eme nkepụta nwa, ị na-akwa ozu, ị na-agba akwụkwọ. Bịawa na Aneke Television, bịa ka ezuoru gị ozi ọma. Bịawa na Aneke Television yidume. Heu, na-emere ogbenye emere amadi ihe. Ume Igbo bịawo na nke a bụ nke anyị. Ị mara ebe oge ọrụ etiwe mọnwụ ntakịtị kwamowu si nne. Ya mere ha ji wee weta Aneke Television. Ọ bụ onye gbagburu agụ nna. Ọ dị na soshal midia. Ọ dị na mgbagbu. Ọ dị n'Enugu steeti.
Good afternoon and welcome to news across the country on Aneke TV. I'm Deborah Wakaba, glad to have you join us. Moving over to the headlines. Rivers Assembly calls on Chief Judge to constitute panel on alleged misconduct by Governor Fubara Deputy. President Tinubu joins Nigerians in celebrating Armed Forces and Remembrance Day. EU officially removes Nigeria from money laundering blacklist. And now the news in details. Members of the Rivers State House of Assembly has declared their resolve to proceed with impeachment of Governor Similai Fubara. The lawmakers made this known during a news conference in Port Harcourt amid the lingering political crisis in the state. They said the decision followed what they described as a breakdown in trust between the executive and the legislature, insisting that the Assembly would exercise its constitutional powers. The development comes as the political standoff between Governor Fubara and the lawmakers continues to heighten, drawing national attention to governance in the oil-producing state. Meanwhile, The Rivers State House of Assembly has formally called on the Chief Judge of the state to constitute a panel to investigate allegations of gross misconduct against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy, Professor Ngozi Odu. The resolution was reached through an unanimous vote of the lawmakers. Addressing journalists in Port Harcourt, the Deputy Speaker, Dumle Maul, accused the governor of blackmail, intimidation of the legislation, and violations of the 1999 Constitution, adding that the Assembly had no option but to commence impeachment proceedings. The lawmakers thanked President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for intervening in the crisis and called on Speaker Martin Amewule to convene the House to continue legislative business. In the meantime, the Rivers State government has denied reports that Governor Siminalayi Fubara has formally been served with an impeachment notice. The denial was made by the governor's special advisor on media, Mr. Darlington Orji, during an interview. Mr. Orji said the governor only became aware of the alleged impeachment move through media reports, stressing that no official communication had been delivered to him by the House of Assembly. He explained that the Assembly had earlier announced a recess until January 28, 2026, noting that the emergency sitting was held while the governor was out of the state, dismissing claims that he absconded to avoid impeachment. Abubakar Abba Atiku's son, of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, has defected from the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the All Progressives Congress (APC). They announced his decision at the National Assembly in Abuja. Abba Atiku also merged his political structure, the House Caretaker Organization, into the APC, renaming it the Haske Bola Tinubu Organization to support President Tinubu's 2027 election bid. APC leaders described the defection as a major political boost. Deputy Senate President Barrow Jibrin praised the move, saying it reflects growing confidence in the administration policies. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has secured a legal victory as an Abuja High Court struck out criminal defamation charges against her. The federal government withdrew the case through a notice of discontinuance. The charges follows petitions by Senate President Godswill Akpabio and former Kogi Governor Yahaya Bello over comments made during a television interview. The court said the withdrawal should promote reconciliation. Speaking after the ruling, the Senate thanked her supporters and said she would resume her legislative duties fully, describing the outcome as a victory for justice and democracy. To legal matter, the Supreme Court has dismissed the appeal filed by Aminu Sule Lamido, son of former Jigawa State Governor Sule Lamido, challenging his conviction for failure to declare $40,000 at the airport. In an unanimous judgment delivered by a 5-member panel on Friday, the Apex Court resolved all issues against the appellants, describing the appeal as lacking merit and affirming the judgment of the Court of Appeal Kaduna Division. Aminu Lamido was convicted by the Federal High Court in Kano on July 12, 2015 and ordered to forfeit 25% of the undeclared foreign currency to the federal government, a decision now upheld by the Supreme Court. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to the welfare of the Nigerian Armed Forces as the nation marks the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day. The president was represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima at the National Arcade, Abuja. The ceremony featured the laying of wreaths at the cenotaph of the unknown soldier, a 21-gun salute, and the release of white pigeons to symbolize peace and national unity. Tributes were paid to military personnel who lost their lives from the world wars to ongoing counter-terrorism operations. President Tinubu, in a message, praised the professionalism of Nigerian troops, particularly in the northeast, and assured families of fallen heroes that their sacrifices would never be forgotten. He said government support for the armed forces would be demonstrated through concrete action. In the meantime, Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu State has restated his administration commitment to the welfare of 7 and retired members of the Nigerian Armed Forces. He spoke at the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day ceremony at Okpara Square, Enugu. Governor Ba said honoring fallen heroes must go beyond annual ceremonies to include sustained care, economic empowerment, and support for widows and families left behind. He emphasized collaboration with the federal government to improve military welfare. This event featured a red lane ceremony, a 21-gun salute, and the release of pigeons. The governor also assured military widows of increased support through skills acquisition and employment programs. Also, your state governor, Mr. Seyi Makinde, has pledged to strengthen security across the state following the killing of 5 forest guards in an ambush at Old Oyo National Park. He spoke during the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day ceremony in Ibadan. Governor Makinde announced a welfare scheme for the families of the slain guards, assuring that the state would provide support for widows and orphans. He praised the Nigerian Armed Forces for their sacrifices despite limited resources. The ceremony featured a military parade, red lane, and a 21-gun salute. The governor warned criminal elements that Oyo State would remain hostile to anyone attempting to disrupt peace. Kogi State Governor Alhaji Usman Ododo has ordered the demolition of a criminal hideout known as Sambel Joint in Okene as part of renewed security crackdown. The structures were discovered to be illegally occupied former government quarters. Governor Ododo, who supervised the exercise in Idoji, said his administration would not negotiate with criminals and warned property owners against allowing their buildings to be used for criminal activities. Residents of the area welcomed the move, describing the location as a long-standing center for terror. The governor thanked President Bola Tinubu for federal security support in restoring peace to Kogi State. Allegations of coercion have emerged in the trial of former Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele, as a defense witness accused the EFCC of forcing a confession. The claim was made at Aneke Special Offences Court. The witness alleged that investigators attempted to induce testimony against Emefiele with promises of bail and immunity. He said the defendant was detained for 21 days for refusing to cooperate. The prosecution denied the allegation, stating that statements were voluntarily made. The court adjourned the case to January 16, 2026 for continuation of proceedings. The Lagos State government has intensified efforts to provide psychological support for survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. The initiative was highlighted at a sensitization program in Lagos. Commissioner for Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Ms. Bolaji Dada, said emotional trauma often lasts longer than physical injuries, making mental health support essential. The program aims to provide counseling, trauma management, and social reintegration for survivors. Officials assured victims of continued protection and empowerment through existing government structures. Fire has destroyed 76 shelters at an internally displaced persons camp in Ngama village, Gujba local government area of Yobe State. The victims are IDPs displaced from Borno State. One person sustained injuries and is receiving medical care. The fire also destroyed livestock, food supplies, and household items, worsening the humanitarian situation. The Yobe State Emergency Management Agency has begun damage assessment and relief distribution. Authorities say the cause of the fire is yet to be determined. Aneke TV and Enugu State government are set to strengthen media governance, collaborating to boost public communication and people-centered policies. The development followed a courtesy visit by the station's management to the special advisor of the Governor of Political Matters, Chief Frank Anyoma, at the government house in Enugu. Aneke TV News correspondent Sharon Uchikalu was there and now completes the story.
Aneke TV and the Office of the Special Advisor to the Enugu State Governor on Political Matters have resolved to collaborate in strengthening public communication and promoting people-centered governance across the state. The resolution was reached during a courtesy visit by a delegation from Aneke TV to the Special Advisor on Political Matters, Chief Frank Anyoma, at the Government House, Enugu. While welcoming the initiative, Chief Frank Anyoma reaffirmed the Enugu State government's commitment to inclusive governance and sustainable development. He commended Aneke TV for its role in public enlightenment and formally granted the station approval to cover activities and programs of his office.